Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Element Qualifier. It's me, Crashy, with my guy. Oh, I had to look the right way. Yeah, with my guy, OSK. How's it going, my dude? I don't know why
Dude,
I
it
don't
is
know
going
that by now.
fantastic. But
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
man. You're always on the left-hand side. You gotta think like, man, maybe I don't know if that's your left or your right. You got a mirror
It
on.
is
I
my
don't know,
left.
man.
Yeah, it is my left. I should know that. I'm on the
Hey,
left. I'll look to the left. There he is.
well, I got my right here. I mean, you see that wall there? It's just about the same color. I just have different lighting going on. So,
There you go.
welcome back, everyone. This Element Fusion qualifier number 6. We got 10 of the best teams we could ask for here. Of course, we're going to be playing 8 games, 4 on NA, 4 on EU, and we have a beautiful prize pool today of $30 going to our winning team, $10 to each member, all vying for that finals placement going into the $1,500 prize pool. Now, Crashy, we got some great teams today. I know there's some names you recognize. What are some of your picks going to be for today?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in here, but like one that I really have my eyes on, especially just coming out of scrims, is, and I hate their team name. I'm gonna just say it. I'm gonna get it out of the way. Radiscution. I hate it. I hate this. Whatever this trend. Listen here, Spellbreak community. Whatever this trend of like meshing your names together, stop it. no, but we got Electric Biscuit, Radish, and Bastion, and they've been doing really, really good in trio scrims lately. I've been keeping my eyes on them. They're a good squad to watch. But yeah, there's a lot of good teams in here. Some players I don't know. We have a South American roster in here as well, and yeah, it should be a good time.
Definitely. And yeah, I think Radiscution, I think is how you pronounce it. Is that Radiscution?
Sure.
Radiscution. I know it's Electric Biscuit. I'll figure it out. Maybe it's Radiscution, kind of like how Play says Bastion.
Radiscution. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there we go. Radiscution. I'll never say it again. I'll just say Bastion's team or Electric Biscuits. But anyway, yeah, I'm the one that reacted to that team name. I'm like, why is this name the way that it is? But anyway, enough about Radiscution. We got to talk about all the rest of these teams here because we have 2 primarily that I'm going to be on the lookout for. We have team Diego is Sexy. It's a true statement and also a really great team. We got Megaverse, Proster, and Diego Contra himself. Now, Megaverse, of course, going to be looking out for him. Always I would say arguable one of the top 5 solo players that we have in the community currently, along with Diego, who's always deadly on the Frostborn. And of course, we got to look at Bear Gods. We have Solar Bear. He's been out here quite a few times in all these qualifiers, always with a good showing, always in scrims improving. We got Wonderful on his team and one of the more prominent content creators in our community, Timmy. That's IXI, Timmy IXI. So don't forget that. They're going to be bringing in the heat. I know Timmy's going to be rocking that Pyromancer, and Solar Bear, it's going to be interesting to see what he picks up because I know Wonderful really likes the toxicologist class. So we'll have to see how they're going to sort of rotate around that. But Crashy, man, I don't know if you saw yesterday's qualifier. I'm expecting some fireworks today too. It's not all about Saturdays. Now we got to bring the Sunday gang up to speed.
Oh yeah, Sunday Gang is here, and I mean, there's some other people I know in here. Dirty Mike and the Boys, we've casted over them, I think, in scrims, or at least I've casted them in scrims before. And I mean, I know who they are, obviously. But yeah, I mean, Megaverse is he's always fun to watch. I'm curious to see where his build is at, because I mean, everybody knows Megaverse is a Stone Shaper. He's like our Academy Stone Shaper. He just had his Academy class the other day, and yeah, fun stuff. And also, who is it? Solar Bear is another Frostborn player, usually, I believe. So we'll see if he's rocking the Frostborn and Diego Contra. So it's rare that we see like prominent Frostborn players or like, you know, like consistent Frostborn players in competitive, but it's always fun when we do, because I feel like when you land that down, when you're really good at it, you're good at it, and you can bring it and provide a good amount of value to your team with it. So pretty awesome to see. And then of course, Silent Kill. We got Matches, Majin, and Zebra, who I don't think I've actually seen the 3 of them play together. I mean, obviously I know all 3 of those players, but I personally haven't actually seen them. But we're going to be jumping into game 1 right now, so we'll see how they do. So we're going to be on Solar Bear first and foremost, and yes, he's going to be playing that Frostborn role, and he's actually got himself a belt. It looks like an uncontested Bogmore, and yeah, really great start. Really great start.
Are you looking at Timmy's class right now? What is that I'm seeing right now? Isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh my. He's rocking the Conduit. He's actually off of I don't think I've ever seen him not play Pyromancer. This is going to be very interesting to see how he conforms to the rest of the meta, I guess you could say. Pyromancer is actually really, really good. So I don't really know what the thinking is going over to Conduit here. Maybe he just wants to be a backline presence while the rest of his team kind of plays the front. But we also have Solar Bear on Frostborn. So we'll have to see how that shakes out here.
That's interesting, because I think if like I could maybe kind of like infer their preferred like fighting style or play style if maybe Solar Bear was rocking like Harmony or Vigor, but he's going to be on the Focus Man as well, so he's definitely going to be looking for some of those big shots. So we'll see how their team fights develop, and we'll see if they continue to rock the Conduit throughout the course of their games. But one thing we see on most teams, you usually see either a Pyro, a Conduit, or a Stone Shaper. The occasional Toxicologist gets thrown in, and then some of these get switched around. But we're seeing a pretty standard like team composition, with the addition of the Frostborn. So not something that you're going to see all over the place, but really, really good setup for the Frostborn players that do come out. Look at that. He's already marking an epic fire gauntlet for his team, and they've got some good loot. This is like a free, uncontested Mana Vault, uncontested Bogmore. They're going to be decently set up going into the rest of the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. Solar Bear, can hit his snipes. He can actually hit people out of invisibility quite frequently. He did it to me quite a few times. Now it looks like we're going to get into an early engagement from what I can gather here. Wawa TV, along with Plato and the rest of his teammates here. It's a little bit blurry on my end, but we'll get the name for you. They are actually in a little bit of engagement here. They are going to go ahead and take down Manny So Fresh along with Joe Bear. Primo-tastic doing some great backup on his team there. And now we have Wawa trying to rotate in, get that last exile, and it looks like Plato will pick it up onto Ancient Generic there. Nice set of loot that they're going to pick up here. Wawa just needs a little bit better coloring on that gear, and they're going to be sitting pretty for the mid-game, Crashy.
Yeah, and Plato rocking the Tempest. I always get excited. I have to be honest. I mean, it's just the state of the meta and the state of the game. I get excited when we see Tempest and Frostborn players entering these squads competitions because I want to see what they can do. It raises the question, exactly where do those roles and those classes fit into the meta? And even though I think it's like kind of obvious and we all kind of agree that these are like two of the weaker classes in the game or not necessarily the most prominent that you'll see in competitive setting, it's always more interesting to see how those specific players pull it out into competitive, because obviously they're very confident, they're obviously very, very good at their classes. Speaking of confidence and classes, we're over here with Radiscution with onboard with Radish, and again, yeah, similar team composition that we're used to seeing. We have the Tempest, or the Conduit rather, we have the Stone Shaper, and then usually you will see like a Pyro or a Toxicologist. We have Radish here on the Toxicologist. He's got the 2/2/2, he's got the Shadow Step, he's got the charges, and he's holding on to that pocket knowledge. So we'll see that come into play, I'm sure, at some point. And yeah, Fortitude has entered the meta. It's gotten a lot more value now that it's not so expensive. It fits into this 2/2/2 build, and yeah, it's something that we see more and more. I'm a little surprised by that, but at the same time, I'm not really, because scavenging and squad situation not the best. But look at this fight engagement happening right here at the top. It looks like Bastion and his squad have kind of bullied them off, though, so not going to full break as they're looking for a little bit of trades with these Ice Lances, a little bit of gardening happening with those Toxic Slaps, but they've bullied this team off this high ground. Not quite sure if they want to completely full engage, but that zone is pushing, so they're going to have to make a decision here any second.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Electric Biscuit is opting to run Foresight or any sort of other scouting type of talent. You can see Radish getting his Fortitude knocked off by the zone there. It's a little bit of an unfortunate situation, blocking that entire shield for just 1 HP. It's going to be a little bit inefficient. Hopefully they can rotate into, it looks like, the eastern side of this map here. Now, Radish is going to be the key player in this entire thing, because we all know that you put your playmaker on Toxicologist. That's really what it is. You want to put your best player on the most flex that he can take advantage of. And he is going to go ahead and take the Knowledge Potion here. He does have 7 outbreaks at the ready that he can use, possibly more if he can re-enter that Vanishing Mist. So we'll see how that plays out for him here in the mid game, if he'll get into some kind of engagement or save it for the late game. Always a great strategy to go ahead and do that. And look at that. This next zone, it's all bunched together. He has Vanishing Mist and he has Outbreak all ready to go. This next engagement is going to be a very important one. Pings out the enemy team and ready to rotate right in.
Yeah, going to go ahead and use one of those Shadow Steps just for positioning. And he doesn't have the best belt in the world, but they actually see a team out here on the edge, and this might be their engagement. Solar Bear popping off in the kill feed. King Ryzen. Looks like they had a little bit of trades going on there, but a little bit of Toxic Slap. A little misstep, no biggie, but they're hanging on to this high ground, and it's all been a very passive game, number one here. Oh, look at this. As I say, that enemy team kind of pushes in towards the face of Radish, and Radish has to be a little bit reactive. Do have his teammates kind of reacting, that Conduit lightning strikes, and that's going to be wonderful falling at the hands of Mike Wazowski, presumably somewhere on the map, maybe close by. We'll see. As Radish is just taking it a little bit slow, might be looking to enter the battle now that he's got that potion working. He doesn't actually have the most potions in the world, but Electric Biscuit taking a lot of damage, and it really just seems like they're like a little discombobulated. They're kind of regrouping now, getting this full reset, and if they are able to kind of like find the positioning, find where these enemies are, they can kind of rotate into them for a fight.
Yeah, just a comment on the kill feed here. We're seeing a lot of disruptions, so keep an eye on that for the rest of the teams coming in. And there's a nice little disruption onto Matt's Odd going right down, and now we have Radish with, looks like all of his knowledge already spent. He's just looking to rotate towards the rest of his team here, looking to re-enter. There's the nice outbreak, but the toxic gas will break his invisibility. He'll have to go ahead and retreat back a little bit, get all this passive healing to his teammates, getting ready for the next rotation. He's saying, funnel all the potions and armor shards to me. I'll go ahead and get all of your resources back up to speed, and then he'll go ahead and, looks like, donate that body talent to someone else. But now we have a little bit of a different engagement. The Stone Shaper is coming in, looking to line up a Frost, not going to get it. Instead, freezes up the Cloud, looking to back up his teammate just a little bit here. He has a Shadow Step coming off cooldown. There's a nice little slap, and now it'll just be a little bit more. There is Dio YouTube gonna go ahead and be taken out. Now Radish looking to rotate around for the rest of his team. Bastion leading the way. If he can go ahead and rotate around this little roof here, Radish will find a small point of time to go ahead and reset just a little bit. We have an engagement here on the bottom side. Looking for a slap. There's one slap, and now looking for a second one. Electric Biscuit going to follow up, and it's so close to being finished. Not quite there, but there it is. Goo Hard is going to go ahead and get disrupted, and Crashy, there is just one more member to go. Can he get it?
Yeah, and this has just been a really like constant engagement, very spanned out fight. But one thing that I am enjoying seeing is just the fact that these players are staying so close to each other. They're really using that ability to peel for each other. You saw that coming out from Radish. Electric Biscuit got very, very low, and Radish was just full on the chase. And look at the kill feed. Megaverse gonna go ahead and wipe out a team. And there has actually been so much action in the kill feed this game, almost more than we have, you know, the availability to call. So lots of teams have been just fighting, getting into scraps, getting, you know, knocks or eliminations, exiles, whatever you want to call it. There's 23 players left alive. It was 31 just a second ago. So now we've moved over to Megaverse, and we'll see what this zone is forcing them to do in just about 30 seconds. You see those fireballs coming over that hill. Megaverse does have a knowledge potion popped, and he's holding on to a pocket frost. Now, I wonder if this is by design, you know, not something that I've seen Megaverse run too often. You know, very well known for running that Stone Shaper with an offhand pyro, but he does see that fire on the ground there, and might be something he's looking to use. And I'm very interested in this. He's actually even running the Fervor Focus mana build, so not going to be something he gets too much of a benefit with this offhand frost, but he's double throwing these like ice boulders, and this is just a very new playstyle, something that I haven't quite seen from Megaverse. But look at this, getting control of this high ground on the Stone Shaper is exactly what they wanted to do. Lots of damage coming out from him, and
look at the confidence right now. Look at him just try to walk through.
Yeah, that was very interesting. We'll call it confidence, but look at this. Megaverse has some players on the backside of him, and he's got to be a little bit reactive.
Oh, no!
My goodness. So much damage coming out from Mike Wazowski and his team. There was lightning. There was dragonfire everywhere. Now Proster and Diego Contra are forced to back up. Unfortunately, Diego's going to be very low, and that zone is pushing. This is just not the best situation that they could find themselves in, but Proster's still feeling a little healthy, and Megaverse is trying to rotate out, and he doesn't have very good runes, not runes, he doesn't have very good scrolls. He doesn't have a lot in the ways of that recovery to keep him healed up. He does have some potions, so we're going to be moving back over to this kind of broken down castle out here next to Gritfeld, and Majin and his team are just kind of hanging out. SK is, they're chilling. They're chilling a little bit right now. It's all about playing the positioning, playing this kind of like dead side of the zone. They haven't forced an engagement just yet, but this is a bit more of a traditional Stone Shaper build that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, definitely. We're actually seeing it's really just the fire offhand that changes everything here. The recovery is already nice and charged up. We do see a little bit of action here coming out. There is a little bit of knowledge going on with Majin here. He does have the 2 charges onto the firewall. Going to go ahead and approach in, play that nice little high damaging frontline class, and now we'll just be seeing him slam down all these stones, and he's going to go ahead and make his opponents retreat. That's going to be a long cooldown, but a nice snipe is going to come out from Matches. He's going to go ahead and take down. Or actually, that was on Diego Contra, so that would have been Mystics taken out there on the flight. Now we have Majin trying to follow up, get over these nice little buildings. Does spot one out, a little bit of a lucky flame wall there, and now he's just over the top, looking to not get frozen, but does not succeed in that endeavor. But it's just an easy stone slam around the corner here. Now we have another target. It's a 3v1 situation as far as the focusing is concerned, but Zebra is going to go down to Proster. So now this must be Megaverse's team coming out, or unless we're just getting some coincidental some coincidental kill feed coming out, but we'll have to see how this plays out. It looks like nothing really much doing. It is kind of a messy situation, but there's really no clear exiles coming out just yet. Now, Death Envoy is going to go down to Mystics here, and Megaverse is he is going to go down a second time. So it looks like this is Team Diego is Sexy versus Team SK.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of teams kind of converging on this singular point. And one thing I have to say about SK is they're kind of impeccable positioning here. They've kind of created a small little safe space for themselves, and they're playing really close to each other. And that's something that you want to see, because with all these potential fights, all these potential exiles and disruptions happening, all of these different teams entering the fight, they want to just stay close to each other. They want to be available for one another. And look at this enemy player coming in, a little bit of Dragonfire action. So Majin taking a bit of damage, and that's the one thing about being this passive. We're going to be entering that final zone now, as it will be pinching forward, or not final, second to last zone. You can actually see that zone pull in the top right hand side of the map. So you know, you don't want to lose too much shield playing this passive, and at some point you might want to just full force a fight and try to wipe out the enemy team. But they're kind of keeping it low key a little bit here. Zebra, Matches, and Majin are just hanging out. There's so many other players in the area. They don't want to force a situation where they go too deep and then find themselves knocked on the ground and kind of scrambling for situations that you know, their teammates can help them in. That said, Bastion getting an exile and Mike Wazowski getting a disruption onto Plato. So still lots of these teams and these players are starting to pinch in towards each other, starting to get into these engagements. And now SK pulling themselves toward the zone, kind of one of the last teams most likely to be able to do that. Radish, Solar Bear, so many teammates, so many players are getting these downs. And now, but this SK team, this is one of those things that I've talked about in the past with getting to the final zones as a full squad with full health. They, even though they're not in the fight that's already currently going on, you can see Mike Wazowski getting a big cleanup on that. Frost are going to be finding himself a disruption as well. Matches finding a disruption on Diego Contra. It's all coming to fruition now. All of these teams have been playing a very passive style of play, playing for positioning, but now this fights are all coming to fruition. Match is going to be very low, but Majin, he's just kind of the tank of the team. And I don't mean that literally, but just in the fact that he has this full health, the full ability to kind of keep himself alive, play around his teammates, and hopefully find some kind of a disruption, some kind of position. And look at that. Yes, he's going to find that down, that disruption onto Electric Biscuit. Zebra going to be going down. Solar Bear still alive in the mix as well, and it's going to be Majin still just trying to play up this high ground. He does pop that fortitude barrier, and he's just playing to stay alive. Unfortunately, gets hit by what it looks like maybe an Ice Lance. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. Majin's going to go down. The last player left alive for the team, not going to be able to stay alive as it's cut down to 10 players left, OSK.
Yeah, it looks like Team Diego is Sexy is still taking lead here. Now, Megaverse will go ahead and get a cheeky exile to himself, or rather disruption. So that is a little bit of bad news for Team Diego is Sexy. So it's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad. We have Solar Bear on Bear God, still alive, still holding down the fort. Dirty Mike and the boys on their last legs. B-Nag just has a little bit of health left. Looks like about 25. It will take just one Ice Lance. He will be trying to Sorcery Hover just a little bit. We'll try to get some sort of action here. B-Nag still rotating around, trying to get the nice little cleanup, but Solar Bear is going to go ahead and find an Ice Lance. Majin going to take out Proster. Megaverse will get fully exiled, looks like to the Storm, and now it is Team Bear God, Solar Bear against one other player. This is going to be so close, but Solar Bear does have the health advantage. If he can sort of rotate around, get a nice little freeze, and there it is. This might be the cleanup. This might be the opportunity. There's the Fortitude blocking. Oh, this is closer than I thought it would be, and now it's towards the tree right here. The stun coming out. This is his opportunity. The Frost is going to miss, but one slap will do it. The Shadow Step coming out, and there it is. King Kevin going to go down to a little bit of slap from Solar Bear. So Team Bear Gods will take game one, and going into game two, that was such a chaotic final circle, Crashy.
Yeah, that game was really just a lot of teams playing very tight, playing very safe, trying to keep themselves together and alive. And then, you know, that can only last for so long. The thing about that last engagement is that I actually felt like it was a little scary for Solar Bear, but he just had full health, full shield. He was able to stay alive. He kept himself really low key and had that full ability to, you know, it's that stalling tactic. When you're the last one left on your team, you just want to wait. You want to hide, get yourself a little bit more placement. But, you know, the other side of that coin is that he actually had shields to reset. So even though he was just kind of playing for placement, he didn't know what was all going on. It ended up being a 1v1 that he could win. You know, going up against a toxicologist in that zone, had they had equal health, might have been a little bit scary, but he just had control there. He had the ability to push that fight, to take that advantage, have that full reset, and yeah, pulls it in for the team. Nice done.
Yeah, definitely. And that just goes it goes to show like we're still so afraid of toxicologists, even though they can have such a high health disadvantage. They still have that opportunity to pop a shadow step and still outbreak you for most of your health. So in that scenario, maybe instead of trying to kite as much, maybe you do go for the 50-50 of trying to get a shadow step into a quick outbreak slap. Maybe you do go for a little bit of risky gameplay. Because as we see Solar Bear on the Frostborn, he does have the flash freeze that can slow you, and then you can exile that way. But he did burn it early on. So once you realize that that's such a long cooldown to come back on, he really doesn't have as much DPS as you do. So maybe instead of trying to kite as much as he did, maybe he kind of trusts his mechanics a little bit on the shadow set. Maybe he goes for that outbreak slap to try to turn the fight, because if you're just going to run away, then Frostborns are going to eat you for lunch.
Yeah, it was interesting because he, Solar Bear really gave the respect that's kind of necessary when fighting a Frostborn, or a toxicologist rather, and that's good. That's a smart thing to do. You don't want to
Yeah.
you don't want to misstep. You don't want to get too over ambitious because you see that you have the health advantage, and then push that fight and get outbreaked, and then next thing you know, you lose the game. So yeah, really solid up there. I think the craziest thing was just watching how many players had made it to like that second to the last zone, and then it was just like fight after fight, to the point where it's
Yeah.
not even like one clean 3v3 versus each other. It's like just these intertwined mess of players trying to stay alive. Dirty Mike and the boys made it to the very end. Diego Contra and his team, Diego Sexy, they made it pretty far. Who else did we see in there? I mean, I know Timmy and Dirty Mike and all them. It was just a lot of teams. It was at least
it must have been 4 or 5 at least.
Yeah, it was at least anywhere between 4 and 5 teams for sure that just were at some point, whether it was all 3 of them or not, in the mix, because it was cut down very fast from 31 players down to like 20 something, 23. But after that, everybody just kind of stayed alive. They moved themselves toward the zone. And it was just like nonstop action until we got our final 1v1, which I will say in squads, really rare. It's pretty rare that you just see like a last finishing 1v1. Usually more often than not, I feel like you get like a couple players or like a full squad that's just kind of dominating the end game.
Yeah, definitely. But like you said, we didn't see that. It was a very hodgepodge mixture of just people trying to really make sense of what's going on around them. I mean, we had that broken up terrain kind of in the middle of the zone, so Stone Shapers couldn't really feel comfortable. Pyromancers, to an extent, couldn't really feel comfortable. Frostborns, for a fact, can't feel comfortable in that close of a zone. So really, everyone's just trying to stay grouped with their team as much as possible and trying to make the best out of what's really dealt to them. Sometimes you'll get out with a lot of exiles, and sometimes you'll just get unlucky and get the short end of the stick. But we're going to see how things adjust. I would imagine now that teams have kind of felt out how their drops are going, maybe they want to get a little bit more aggressive. Maybe now that they gauge the competition, they want to sort of play a little bit more passive and try to make it to the mid game so they get that higher placement. We'll have to see how things shake out here in game number 2, which we'll be dropping into very, very soon. Now, Crashy, there's a lot of interesting strategies going on here. We do have Team Bear Gods going on the Frostborn, the Conduit, and also the Stone Shaper. Not really any Pyro or Toxicologist that we're used to seeing, but as we saw in that last game, it really worked out well for them. So maybe we're seeing a little bit more build diversity, but I would like your take on all these sort of class combinations that we have coming out.
Yeah, I think the defining one about Bear Gods is just the fact that they have a dominant Frostborn player. I think if you don't have someone that's specifying like their specialty is to play the Frostborn, then you will see something that's a little bit more standard in kind of that mid kind of position, that aggressive player. The toxicologist, the ability to have a pyro in the team, it's really strong. I think we know those are 2 of the strongest, just like in your face kind of fighting classes, whether there's the person that leads the charge or comes in secondary to like a Stone Shaper. It's just kind of the standard. So seeing a team like Bear Gods break that mold, it's completely reliant on the fact that they have that Frostborn player. Now, how Solar Bear chooses to play, that's totally up to them. It depends on how their fight style, maybe they want to sit back and kind of like have those 2 backliners, have that one frontliner that kind of jumps in. We see that very kind of that similar play style come out from something like Cam Sucks, where he just jumps in, gets all that attention, and then he just backs himself up. Although he does have a little bit more follow-up from someone like Chaos on the Pyromancer. So we'll see how they actually do that, because, I mean, whatever they did, it worked. And also, just to say, because I left them out when I was bringing up all the teams that made it, Kring obviously making it super far in the game, because we had King Kevin got second place in the 1v1, but I wanted to shout them out as well, because, obviously so many teams that were able to make it there, Guile, King Kevin, and Mystics. I'm not sure when he lost his teammates, then, can't completely follow that. But look at this. We're going to be jumping into game 2 now. We're already on the ground, on board with Dio, YouTube. We'll see. And yeah, their team setup, even so, we got Pyro, Toxicologist, and the Stone Shaper. So really kind of in your face type of fighting that I would expect from them. You don't have any Frostborn potential picks unless you're running like a Frost offhand, which you'll probably see from the Toxicologist player. But at the same time, a very aggressive potential team that they have here.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to see them kind of rotate around towards this Himwood area. It looks like we do have kind of a close zone, so maybe they want to quickly dip in, get their nice first skill up. But look at this. We have already some action and Shadow Grace from Radiscution going to go ahead. He's getting a little bit of residual damage from Conduit still on this enemy team. Maybe just pushing him out of the loot area for right now. Maybe if he can go ahead and grab a belt, they re-engage, but there are no belts as of right now onto Team Radiscution. Now, Bastion LMAO rocking the Stone Shaper. He will have a little bit of extra resource to go around, but his health is rather low. So maybe they just want to play it safe. They want to go ahead and get some of this loot, and look at that. It's already paying off. Team Radiscution with 1 belt on the books right here. We do have an epic rune coming out, even though it is the Featherfall. Maybe a little bit of a aim assist PTSD coming out from Electric Biscuit. We'll have to see how that works out for him. But the epic lightning gauntlet is definitely going to do him some good. So we'll see if they opt to re-engage or if they opt to play it safe right now. But Electric Biscuit definitely keeping an eye out.
Yeah, and I actually haven't been able to follow, I guess, his full build to see what he prefers in the offhand. We'll see, but I don't know. He's rocking my build right now. I love Conduit with Wind offhand. It's so cheesy, but we'll see because I definitely don't think he's gonna rock the Featherfall, and he probably will swap that Wind off for a Fire offhand because that's a little bit more standard. I actually even like the Toxicologist why am I saying it like that? I actually like the Toxic Gauntlet offhand with Conduit as well. You can get some pretty cool CC combo going on with those sorcery combos, or just landing the sorcery with the lightning as well. Connect with that giant EMP ball. I've heard somebody call it, but he's got his two charges, and there he is. Yeah, he's swapping out even just for a common fire, just something that he feels a little bit more comfortable at close range. And is this actually turning into a fight? Yeah, we have a player and the team rolling over this hill. Not something I was expecting. You'd think maybe they're pushing over here to find some extra loot. They didn't know there's a team here. Looks like Bastion and Radish are just kind of in full pursuit potentially. As long as Electric Biscuit has some room. Oh, look at that. Bastion's actually going to go down, and this is Megaverse, so Diego is sexy going to be jumping into the fray. Don't know where they came from, not sure where they're used to landing, but it looks like you can see Diego kind of being a little bit aggressive, a little bit of viscosity coming out from their side potentially, or even just a puddle being created off of that alacrity. But Bastion is down. Radish was able to get a big potion pop, and we'll actually see Electric Biscuit going to take some time. Radish kind of has that visual aggro, and Bastion, the fact that Bastion's up is actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Bastion definitely needs to be up for this fight. He needs to be able to recover and go ahead and get his health just in a little bit of a better place. Maybe you see a little bit of swap from the giant health potion over to Bastion, but it looks like Bastion so far is going to just play distraction for right now. Radish is going to take a little bit of damage, so he will opt out. He will go ahead and take the reset. I know, Billy, it's great, but anyway, coming in with it's all good. But Electric Biscuit is going to go ahead and dip behind this mountain here. They realize that they're not in the best spot to really take this fight. They're trying to kite away, get a little bit better loot. Bastion, for one hand, still doesn't have a belt, so maybe that's what they're really looking for. They're going to be looking to go into the Westmar area. It tends to be a contested area, at least in public lobbies and in competitive lobbies. It is still kind of the same story towards the eastern side of this area. But look at this. We're already going to find some scrolls, and maybe we can find a little bit of gear too. They are taking a little bit of time trying to loot up. Maybe they feel a little bit safe, or maybe this is bad judgment. But either way, we're going to find out here in just a moment.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like they have found a little bit of comfortable positioning. Wow, I don't know why that's such a tongue twister, but they can just kind of chill here. It looks like this has mostly been unlooted. And Electric Biscuit, I mean, they do still need some stuff. They don't have a belt on Bastion really, and they don't really have an amulet on Bastion either. But we're going to jump over to Dirty Mike and the Boys, King Ryzen, Mike Wazowski, and BNAG. They're going to be getting into an engagement out here on the northern side of the map, out here in the desert. What a better position you could ask to fight in as a Stone Shaper. He's going to be knocking the Vasquez bros. So maybe a lobby teams. I'm not sure I'm familiar with them, but they're going to get out of the way. You know what I mean? We got a quality to play. So unfortunately, that team's just a nice little stepping stone here. And look at that, man. The legendary Spring Step and the legendary Fire offhand. His build is so good. It's got an insane amount of scrolls. King Ryzen is looking, it's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good this game.
Man, I'll tell you right now, if he can find one more Mind Scroll to complete that focus mana, you're going to see some big damage. 50 damage fireballs. How do you like that? It's not going to be empowered by Combust or the Ignite that goes with it, but it's still going to be a lot of damage, and that Epic Stone is going to be hurting quite a bit as well. The Epic Spring Step is actually a really good pickup too. The lowest cooldown in the game, minus, of course, if you have Runic Fluency with it. So he's going to have movement for days. He's going to have damage for days. And look at his team, man. He's going to have support for days as well. So we're going to jump over to Wonderful. A little bit of a sticky situation right here. He is going to go ahead and find an exile with Timmy, taking out Death Envoy. And now they're going to be rotating out towards one of the last members of this team here. He does spot him on the higher end here. There is a little bit of fortitude going on, so he will have to be a little bit careful. Does take a little bit of shield damage, and he's just not getting hit by these snipes. So good job on the evasion there. We'll have to see how he rotates around with his team. It looks like, yeah, Timmy is playing the backup here. So he'll be resetting for right now, maybe going to bait out with a little bit of threat of exile. But it looks like it's just the final member of this team. So he is going to go ahead and stop the movement of this orb. He will go ahead and try to thirst, try to bring someone out of their hiding spot. We do see a little bit of immunity coming out on your screen there. There was there in bold print. So we'll have to see if that is actually something to be worried about, if that's a fortitude being popped, or if that's the orb taking a little bit of damage that ordinarily he would not. So we'll have to see how this plays out. The zone is going to be closing in, so maybe we'll see a little bit of rotation coming out.
Yeah, and Wonderful doesn't have a very great rune. He's going to be kind of peeking over this little leftover loot. Doesn't actually need that scroll either. So unfortunately, not the best rune. But hey, look, they won their fight. They're able to rotate out of here. They have Solar Bear. I was going to say, I don't know how far the zone is. It's not very far, but they have Solar Bear if it is going to be far. And hey, look at this. What team is this right here? We got Spirit, DNA, Strands, and Cozy in the game.
Oh, well, would you look at that? We're getting a little bit of good practice here. We made itself into a quali. So we'll have to see how this plays out for them. Spiri is already going down to one shield left there, along with his full health. So and he is rocking the Spellslinger, Fortitude, and Ambidextrous build here. And look at his offhand. He has Fire, he has Toxic, and he has Stone. So all the options are covered up for him. And he will go ahead and get a little bit of benefit from Stone Skin, rocking the stone there. Now, something I haven't observed myself yet, if he swaps off, he actually does keep the armor. So this is just like a free armor shard. If he wants to go ahead and switch off to Stone, he can charge up to 20 armor and then swap off and still keep the armor benefit. So interesting little interaction there for those of you that didn't already know. There's a little bit of Dragonfire Tornado. I know he caught at least one player in it. That's a little bit of 30 damage coming out. And now looking to rotate around this little tower. Cozy looks like he is going to go down to Spiri. So just caught up in that Dragonfire a little bit too much. The Combust will not go ahead and hit on to Spiri, but it is enough to drag him off of this res. So DNA Strand's going to be taking the brunt of the damage here. He might end up going down. We'll have to see how this plays out. But Spiri going to try to follow up with a little bit of stone damage himself. He's got his opponent so low. If he can follow up, then that's going to be an easy exile. The wind spam coming out, but it is not going to be the opponent he is looking for. Now this rotation's looking a little bit scuffed as DNA Strands will take out Primotastic here, so excellent pickup. And now we have this enemy on the roof. Going to be taken out by, looks like Spiri. That is Plato going down. So this team that somehow ended up into our qualifiers is taking a little bit of damage towards our competitive event, looks like.
Yeah, definitely wiping out a team there. While we won, his friends are going to go down. Oh, look at this. Radish. Nice. They're, I guess, coming off the back end of a fight. You got Electric Biscuit.
Uh-oh, watch out.
Still down. Unfortunately, the third party is going to be coming in, so you do see Radish kind of backing up. And he's very healthy with that legendary belt, but his teammates are not in such a graceful position. You see he's going to be gardening out there a little bit, using those Toxic Slabs, hopefully creating a little bit of space for his teammates. I don't know where the Electric Biscuit positioning is. I don't know if Bastion has any kind of room to potentially pick him up, but it does look like they might be just like tanking the storm. No, Solar Bear gonna find Bastion. So now I think it's all up to Radish to just get out of here. Don't really have much of a choice. And he's probably just going to have to hide and do what he can so he can get a little bit of placement points. But he is kind of hanging out here. We'll see. He actually grabbed that large health potion. So I think that, if for nothing else, is going to be a move to potentially get his teammates up. And now Dirty Mike and the boys are going to find themselves here on the northern side. And this zone is getting very small very quickly. Electric Biscuit is going to get taken down again. Or I think that might just be that full exile happening. He's going to get timed out there. So not going to be able to stay alive. And Timmy, I think, getting disrupted as well. Maybe getting hit by a little bit of his own damage. But this is a full Dirty Mike and the boys execution. They are looking to fly at whoever they're chasing, whatever team, whatever player they found here out on the edge. This is similar to where we saw Bastion and his team, Radish, was just trying to stay alive. So this might be that full pursuit that we're seeing. King Ryzen actually going to get a little bit low, so they might be backing up. You see him using some of that stone skin, the bedrocks, to try to keep his armor up if he can. And Spiri getting a knock on to Diego Contra. So Diego Contra going to be down on the ground. We'll see if his teammates are able to help him out at some point. And this is all positioning and buying a little bit of time here, as Match is going to find a knock onto Prosser as well. So this is going to be, that seems like it's a convoluted fight somewhere else on the map, as we're going to be sitting on Dirty Mike and the boys. For now, it's all about them just taking a little bit slow. Now they're entering the fight. That's going to be Zebra getting knocked from SK, the Silent Killers, and you see the full engagement here on this opposite side of this small structure. So it does look like Mike Wazowski going to be in full committal. So he doesn't have any more cooldowns, but Mike Wazowski is going to find that disruption as well. I actually think that's the full exile. Wonderful, though, comes in on the backside of King Ryzen, is going to find that disruption, and now Dirty Mike and the boys, the 3P came in full force from Timmy and the crew. Not going to let them stick on that one. Now Timmy is alive and well. He was disrupted earlier, but it doesn't matter. He's got the conduit in hand with the offhand fire. Going to be rocking a very interesting build. Look at that, the ambidextrous. Only one of the other ambidextrous players I've ever seen in competitive, him as well as Spiri, and he is in full force as well. The full committal. He only has 2 HP left. He's going to drop out that lightning strike. It will connect, so hopefully his teammates have a little bit of room to make something happen. To see, he's going to be backing up a bit. Getting Strands going down at the hands of Wonderful. Spiri getting Wonderful down, and this is, again, just a massive fight. All the culmination of most of these teams coming together at this point. Solar Bear is backing up. He wants to see if he can find some kind of a disruption, but unfortunately, it looks like Wonderful's going to get full exiled there.
Yeah, and oh, actually not. He has to peel off there. So Wonderful and Timmy are going to be safe for right now, going into the ravine, trying to find a nice safe place for Solar Bear to pick them up, I would imagine here. Now, it is a full squad that we're looking at up against Team Bear Gods here. So he'll have to find a very, very opportune moment to try to swoop in. And looks like this is the moment here. He's going to be picking up Timmy right here, and then Wonderful right after. Maybe he sends Timmy over to try to get the full res up. But here it is, the follow-up from Spiri's team coming right in. And now Timmy will have to go ahead and kite out. Unfortunately, they'll have to leave Wonderful behind. Gets sucked in by the tornado, almost fractured. Got to be careful, but it doesn't matter because DNA Strands is here with the follow-up. Timmy is going to go down. Now it's all of the Solar Bear again. Look how many boulders are flying around here. We have Spiri just taking control of this lobby here. Even though he is not a member of the event, he is certainly saying, I'm the most important one in this lobby so far because I am just doing all the damage. But it is only him left, and he only has 11 HP. Now it's 0. Megaverse takes out the Invader, and it will be Team Diego is Sexy going to make this event just a little bit smoother for us. And now Megaverse has his target in sight. This is definitely Solar Bear. You have to think that he is keeping an eye on that Frost, and look at that. He does the boulder to sort of interrupt here, landing a Frost of his own, and there it is. He will seal out the kill onto Solar Bear here, and it is Team Diego is Sexy punching back, getting Bear Gods in second place.
Yeah, they were actually, I feel like that team kind of like fell out of the game for a while. Like I didn't see anything from Diego is Sexy for a while. We were kind of stuck on Solar Bear and Timmy, and he was able to get Timmy up, but Timmy didn't have any potions, and they were at the edge of the zone, and it was just very convoluted. It was the Spiri team going up against, Timmy and Solar Bear for a long while there. And then next thing you know, Megaverse and the full team just seemed like they wave over the entire lobby. So really nice to see them. They were able to kind of reset and get kind of comfy somewhere around the map. And works out. They come in full force, Megaverse finding that triple kill, and then inevitably getting that last one as well. So nice job there. Diego is Sexy going to find themselves in the first place position for game number 2. And that's definitely going to shake up the standings. That game was a really interesting one. We'll have to see how that affects the overall leaderboard going into game number 3.
Yeah, definitely. And you have to think that the ability of that random team getting in here and causing so much havoc, he had 4 exiles, so that's just that many points being taken away from some of our competitors here. So that is one thing that we have to kind of keep in mind here. If we do have a random team kind of popping off in our competitive event, that it is going to kind of sap points away from our competitors. So it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation with the current way things are handled in the competitive scene, but nonetheless, it is a problem that we'll have to deal with, and that our teams will have to keep in mind as they kind of rotate in. Maybe they sort of play a little bit safer at this point. Maybe they try to land just a little bit more third parties as opposed to taking fights outright. We'll have to see how players will react to it. But I just want to give I just want to commend Solar Bear there for staying alive as long as he did. He did at one point have two of his teammates down, was able to go in for a nice little res. They did end up getting down again, but he still lasted long enough for that offending team to go ahead and get exiled by Team Bear Gods, and still made out with a nice little placement of second place there. I wasn't quite able to see how many exiles he got that particular game, but he's doing a great job for his team, carrying the first game, and of course, just stalling it out for the last part. Of course, we did see a lot of early action from Team Radiscution as well. I'm sure that they'll find themselves with a nice little bit of exiles. But we'll have to see how Game 3 shakes out, because Game 2 was kind of a little fiesta going on here.
Yeah, a bit. I mean, Bakshin, the Radiscution team, they were able to stay alive for quite a while. And like I said, man, I'm still, like, I might have to go back and watch some of their perspectives if any of them are streaming, but Diego is sexy. I just don't know where they went. Like, I don't know where they were able to get into the zone from, and they just kind of like avoided most of those fights as that zone was getting pretty small. And but Solar Bear, I think, what do they land in third place, if that means that like the Cozy team gets second and then Megaverse and his team get first. So another, like, a third place finish followed by a win, or just before a win. So not bad. They're definitely going to be sitting pretty decent on the leaderboard. And we'll see. Going into Game 3, it'll be interesting. We have two more games on NA, then we'll be jumping over to EU. Right. And we don't actually have any EU competitors today, but we're keeping our format consistent, giving everybody that same level of practice that they're going to be playing in every single quali going into the finals. And pretty interesting stuff. Also, the other thing I noticed, didn't have time to say anything in the moment, was Megaverse is running the Frost offhand. Now, I think if I'm able to deduct kind of like what's going on here, I have to assume that it's like a squad thing. Like, it's him wanting to maybe not full send into fights with his build, or it's him maybe wanting to be a little bit more versatile at range. I don't know. It's really interesting. I'm like eyeballing it, and I can see something there, because I've always thought about running like Stone Shaper, or having like that offhand Frost with the flash freeze is kind of innately like CC reliant, and it's a little bit controlling. So it's an interesting thing, but he's still running like the Fervor Focus Mana build. But that said, look at this. We're in Bogmore. Game number 3 is underway, and Solar Bear already finding a disruption, or 2, it looks like, maybe. And that's actually going to be Hentai HD, another one of the players in the community that I'm familiar with. DNA Strand's going to be in this game as well. And I think he's actually disrupted. So there's a lot of action going on in this one. Teams and players are just out there in the HoloLands today.
And can you answer how you noodle yourself? I'm not sure if I've ever seen that before, but it looks like we have just found a nice little feature in the game that I didn't know existed. So you know what? I'll take it. Nice little slap on yourself, get yourself out of this lobby. So that's fine with me. But anyway, Solar Bear really laying down the damage onto these teams here. We don't see a clean full team wipe from what I can see. Maybe that's an Alt F4, maybe it's not. I'll have to see. But he's doing some work, doing some great damage early on, and they are taking control of this Bogmore area. DNA Strand somehow going down to himself. That has to be a fracture death, I would imagine. Maybe he sees that he's in this lobby and just wants to get right out. But Solar Bear going to go ahead and take out the last member of that random team. Rox 390 will go down to his hand, and you got to think all of those exiles feel pretty nice right now.
Yeah, look at that. Finds another epic amulet. So they just have control of Bogmore. And Bogmore, oh man, what a great location to have mostly to yourself. You don't have to worry about too much contesting the loot, because they were able to wipe out that team pretty early. And they're actually really, really close to zone. So that means all these like outside castles, if they're not looking to put a bunch of like points on the board, if they feel pretty confident about their standings and they just want to make sure that they have like full loot, full scrolls, whatever they can do, they have all of these outskirts locations, at the edge of Bogmore, further out to the east into the south that they can loot up. We're going to see them going for that. Already, Solar Bear, or I think Timmy actually marking this fire gauntlet. So they're just chilling. Nice little early game. And again, the thing for me is just like, if you have a big location like this, if you're not running like a Finders Keepers, you just need to get as much loot as possible, as many chests as possible, so you can find those scrolls. I mean, that's, 9 scrolls per player. That's a lot that you're looking for there.
Yeah, definitely. That's 27 in total. I can do some quick maps for you. And now they're just kind of hanging around this little Bogmore area. I know they already dipped into the zone. They have their level 2 already and set up. Wonderful on that Bedrock skill. Timmy on Overload, and of course Solar Bear on Icicle, being able to float and scan for any nearby enemies here. Looks like Wonderful's just having a bad day on the skates here, as he will go ahead and get melted off right before he gets on. But we have Death Envoy go hard, and it looks like Dio YouTube getting into a little bit of engagement here onto this prominent skin. Let's see if he can shadow step in. It looks like he is a little bit funneled on the Toxicologist, but it is not to the point in the match yet where he has Outbreak, so he will have to opt for the higher damage the higher damage Dragonfire build. Now, Ro will go ahead and get sniped out of the sky by Dio YouTube, so that is one down. It's a 2v3 situation at this point. Nice little X marks the spot. Are those firewalls going to be landing there? And now Death looking to just separate out, get a nice little reset, let his team do the hard work here, and he's ready to dive back in now. Getting the thirst off is Guhard, and now Death Envoy looking for his next target.
Yeah, looking for the next target indeed. But hey, look, they're kind of chilling. They're all full health, so they don't have to full send here. It's all just about like working together, and that's the biggest thing. If you're coming in on a third party, if you're just like hanging out and taking your time, it's the best thing that you can do. And that's why I like a format like this, because you can kind of choose when and when not to turn on the gas. If you know you need points, then you have to play a little bit more aggressive. But if you want to guarantee that you're getting some placement points and then look for some of those exiles and those points on damage later on in the game, you have the ability to do that as well. But, and I've talked about this in the past, the more fights that you can take, the more potential loot that you'll get and the more scrolls that you might get that can help set you up for the win. So it's definitely kind of like a balancing act to have to do. And this fight right here, this is interesting because pushing up this mountain is probably one of the hardest things you can do in Pursuit, especially when you see that shockwave flying all the way down the mountain. The Dragonfire can get up there. That shockwave, I think, has a little bit more presence. So we'll see if they peel off of this, because that's a dangerous fight to try to take. But hey, look, man, Death Envoy is pushing up this mountain. He doesn't have any shields on himself currently. He's going to be looking to spray out some damage, but look at this. He just telegraphed to the enemy team that he does not have a shield on. That said, enemy player doing the same. So we'll see. Death Envoy is going to go ahead and pop this large shield shard. And we'll see. They're in full pursuit. Look at this. A flight rune coming out from his teammate. I'm not sure how to say his name, Guhard. It looks like he's going to be just in full pursuit again, like I said. And this enemy team just doesn't want to fight, but I'm not sure that Death and his squad actually care. I think that they might just look to pursue this.
Yeah, I think they're just going to try to W key and try to get this out. It looks like they're trying to take advantage of all these mana vaults here. They want to try to have it all to themselves. They don't really want to give up any advantage to any enemy team. So maybe that is the play. You can see Death Envoy checking for any third parties behind him here, making sure that mana vault isn't being popped. And maybe he'll go for the activate here and then help his team a little bit later, but he is a little bit distracted by this scroll. Look at the confidence in his team here, that they know that 2 can press on the rest of the squad here. We do know that the Mountain team is down a member. I do believe that is the case. I might be wrong though. So we'll have to see how this plays out. It looks like Guhard is not afraid to sort of push up by himself a little bit, but we do see a little bit of engagement here from the Mountain now. This is the third party that Death was trying to look out for. The mana vault is not activated, so there will not be any pressure to go for it immediately. He will go ahead and opt to rotate around towards the rest of this mountainside over here. And it looks like Guhard is actually going to go down. That's Megaverse on the Frost. And maybe that's exactly why he is running it, because he does have the confidence. He does have the accuracy. And now all that damage is coming right out. That's another member of this team going down. Dio is down. Death Envoy is right behind him. 2 HP, 7 HP, 0 HP. Megaverse will take it from him.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of the risk that you run when you're playing that heavy chase. It's not necessarily that you're being too careless with the chase, but it's that you don't know what's going to happen, what's ahead of you. The further you traverse the map, the more and more players are probably in those locations, fighting their fights of their own, looting those locations of their own. That said, we're going to be on Dirty Mike and the boys, and they're looking like they're in a full disengage right now because King Ryzen is dangerously low, and Mike Wazowski actually popping some of those shields for himself, but this is a tough situation to be in. That said, it's Solar Bear not going to let Ryzen get away, and BNAG taking a lot of damage as well. This is Bear Gods. They are not going to let this team get away. The thing about having the Frostborn is even if they have a flight rune, you have that alacrity, and look at that. Solar Bear not going to let BNAG get away. Like I said, he's going to land that shot. The last member left of Dirty Mike and the boys is going to be Mike Wazowski. We'll see if there's any hope for him to get some kind of placement points this game, but ultimately it looks like the Bear Gods, Solar Bear and his team, they're putting a lot of work in here. But is this a third party or just a little bit of pop shots coming in? I actually do think that it might be a third party, team coming in. Maybe we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, Dirty Mike and the boys, their game is not in the best position.
Yeah, I would say, given the fact that there are 2 mana vaults up for grabs, this is Wawa Wiwa and the rest of his team here with Primotastic coming in. That's Mofongo Bros just taking control of this mountain here. That is the third party. It's a full squad, and look at that, full shield and full health just about. Now, Wawa Wiwa trying to get any sort of pot shot onto the enemy team here. This has to be Bear Gods that they have to be worried about. On the other side of this mountain, they are keeping the pressure up on Dirty Mike and the boys, though, trying to keep them away from any potential res here. You have to keep an eye on that orb there. It's not really something that they can chase. That's free damage, as opposed to maybe or maybe not a thirst. Now that you do see Mike Wazowski out in the in the distance there, I do believe. But there's another member on this team, so maybe this is Bear Gods trying to play the zone play. Let's see how Primo does playing the front line out here. But we have frost flying everywhere. We have lightning bolts. We have everything. The rotations are coming out. The plays are being made. Will he be able to land these snipes? Will there be enough pressure to force them off of these mana vaults? I do not believe that answer is yes, but we'll have to see how this plays out. The trees are providing a lot of cover. Wawa Weewa going to rotate around towards the left-hand side. Maybe he's going to be scouting for third parties. Maybe, and it looks like that is exactly what he's going to do. He is trying to make sure that he's not getting approached on from behind. He is rocking the Pyromancers, so he does have a lot of close-range pressure that he can apply. Now we have a third party coming in from the other side. It looks like that might be Silent Kill going in for the third party. This is two completely full squads fighting on that higher mountain, and Wawa Weewa playing so carefully. You want to make sure that there's no pressure coming up from behind, but it looks like he will spot some out. That's a boulder incoming, not going to do anything, but Wawa Weewa keeping his eye up here. He will opt to go ahead and try to land some residual fire. The rest of his team has picked up the danger here. They are free from this last engagement. Now they will go ahead and try to collapse on this team. They have the hide advantage. They have the rune advantage. They have the cooldowns. Now it's just a matter of execution, Crashy. This might get a little ugly.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to make note of is the Wawa Weewa build. He's actually rocking a 1-2-2 build, so it has one extra point that he could be playing with. And I think it just comes down to the decision not to run Fervor over running Fortitude, which I find to be very interesting. Even though you wouldn't get much of a benefit on Fervor on that Frost offhand, still a very interesting decision to make. That said, he is going to be able to block one source of damage. Unfortunately, that second is going to connect with him, and this chase is not looking too great for Wawa Weewa and his team. The Malongo boys are trying to disengage here. This is a dangerous position for them to be in. You actually see Majin getting that disruption onto Plato. Diego Contra lands the nice Ice Lance from somewhere downtown, so he's going to be able to push in with his team. And I'm not sure what all enemy players are here, but Primo Task is going to be the last one left alive. Unfortunately, he's going to go down. So Malongo boys are down. The Malongo bros are down, but Majin is going to find a disruption onto Proster. But Diego Contra is not here to let that happen. If he has anything he can say about it, he does have the Harmony, and that's the beauty of running the Frostborn. If you choose to take it, unfortunately getting a little bit stuck there. So Electric Biscuit going to come and find the disruption onto Diego, as the last member left alive for Diego is Sexy, is going to be Megaverse, and he is in some kind of an engagement, and we do see it now, has control of this hill, and this unfortunately might be one of those situations where you just got to let your teammates go, but see what he decides to do. He does have a nice power position to fight from, but if the full team engages on him, he might just have to let it go.
Yeah, I do believe Megaverse will have to get over his realization that he is the best member in the lobby here, probably of multiple accounts, but he will have to kite away. His team will have to be left behind. There's nothing he can really do here. It's a 3v1 situation, potentially more, because there is that other squad still alive. It is a 3-squad deadlock here. He will opt to separate out, so he'll stay out of the action for now, maybe looking for a third party to steal out a second place placement. But for right now, we have Radiscution, the offenders, onto Diego is Sexy, trying to hold down this mountain here. They are not worried about Megaverse anymore. They are completely focused on this last little squad. I don't think they see any way for Megaverse to kind of recover the rest of his teammates here. It looks like they will just go ahead and full push. Now, nothing has happened to Megaverse quite yet. I don't know if this squad is pushing on to Megaverse, but it doesn't look like he is disrupted yet. So he is playing this very, very safe, not finding anything on it, but Proster is going to go ahead and go down. That has to be the Dragonfire coming out. Wonderful is going to go ahead and take out Bastion and LMAO, so that's one member of Radiscution. Diego Contra is going to go ahead and go down as well, so it is just Megaverse on that last little squad. Radiscution down to just one member left, and now we have Radish all for the marbles here. Let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, Radish going to be the last one left, and it's Solar Bear finds the disruption onto Electric Biscuit. And I do think, unless I have missed it in the kill feed, Megaverse is hiding out somewhere, trying to get some points if he can. Timmy going to be the one player down for this squad. For Wonderful and Solar Bear, they're actually still chilling here. They're, they have control of this high ground, kind of. Those shockwaves are going to be coming in. Wonderful taking a little bit of damage, but Solar Bear has mostly been able to stay alive, and the teleport coming out from him, he's going to be teleporting just into the face of this enemy player. Megaverse finding the disruption onto Wonderful, so Megaverse is alive and well, and he is looking to get as many points as he can. These are those NA games that they really need to take advantage of if they can. But Wonderful, fortunately, going to be down as well as Timmy, but Solar Bear is just looking to buy some time. Look at him. He's taking these outskirts angles. He wants to stay alive, and look at this. This is Megaverse. But yeah, that's definitely Megaverse. I was going to say potentially, but I see the skin there. I see that outfit that he's rocking. Megaverse wants to do as much damage as he can. Unfortunately, Solar Bear taking it slow, taking it easy. I don't think he has any kind of a situation where he can res Timmy. It looks like there might have been some potential there, but there's just too many players in such a small circle, and the teleport coming out with the flash freeze, a very interesting combination, an interesting decision to make. But Solar Bear is all about just trying to stay alive here. He's just constantly in kite mode, in survivability mode. He does have some pretty good runes, and now if he can stay in the air a little bit, he might be able to stay alive. The teleport coming out again, and Solar Bear again. It's all about just this kite that's going on. I don't know who all else is alive. Megaverse going to be getting that disruption, that final exile onto Solar Bear. Actually, it was an Electric Biscuit that finishes him up, and this is going to be the Radiscution team. The full team left is going to be Radiscution going up against Megaverse. Unfortunately, Megaverse not going to be able to stay alive there, but finds that second place position. So, you know, from the time that his teammates went down to the time that Megaverse was actually able to stay alive, he found another kill under Wonderful. I mean, he got some good value out of that life. So, you know, huge shout out to Megaverse on that one for sure.
Yeah, definitely doing a good job of playing the harass role of there. He was only one member of that team taking on 2 full squads, and he ends up coming out in second place. So that's great awareness from him to not really overextend himself and get himself into a situation where he can be collapsed on by 3 members of a team without trading heavily into the other. So it's a great job from him playing pros and cons there in that last little bit. And I do have to say that's an excellent job from Radiscution, really striking when they know that they have an opportunity to. We saw that Team Diego as Sexy was getting quite low in one of the engagements they had leading up to that final circle, and they're able to third party at the right time and take out Megaverse when he is at his weakest. He did just walk through 3 trails of Dragonfire and goes down pretty easily. Or sorry, that would have been Diego Contra, my mistake there. But anyway, it's still great squad play from Radiscution coming out. Radish able to stall long enough to get his whole team up, and they end up carrying the win off of it. So that's a really good job from their part.
Yeah, Radiscution, you know, like I said, a team that I've kept my eyes on quite a bit. They've been, I don't want to like sell them short, but they've been improving like day in, day out. Every time I watch them, I think they're getting a little bit better. They definitely have the slaying power to close out some of these games. I mean, they've been doing it pretty much whether it's in scrims or qualities. I'm always watching and paying attention. And yeah, they're able to do that. That said, Megaverse definitely no stranger to the competitive scene and to doing very well. So we'll see where that puts them in the standings, because they were kind of holding that number 1 position. I don't think that's going to be enough to shake up for them. They're probably still sitting in that comfortable position, but Bear Gods sitting pretty in that second place slot. And there's actually a pretty big gap, at least from what the leaderboard that I'm looking at currently. If you guys are looking at the scores, pretty decent gap between first place and second place, but that's going to be pre-update, I think. So we're going to be going into what is it, game number 4 now?
Yep. Yeah, big game number 4.
Wow, so game number 4 already upon us, and we're going to be jumping into that just in a bit. The last game of NA before our halftime, before we swap over to EU. So yeah, a lot of these teams, you want to get your NA games in, want to take advantage of your NA ping. Unfortunately, if you're not a South the Hishira going to be dealing with some ping pretty much the entirety of the day, and then we'll be swapping to EU.
Yeah, always have to commend our off-region teams. If you're not in NA or EU, it's always great to have you in. I know that there's a little bit of a bigger challenge playing on higher ping. So whatever placement y'all end up in, still great job for coming out and really showing your salt. You really want to make sure to get your name out there despite the higher ping that you have to deal with. So thanks again for coming out. But anyway, I just want to kind of build off your point about the current standings here. It doesn't look like there's all that much separation between first and second place. Actually, it's less than 10 from what I'm looking at on the score sheet right now.
Really?
So
it had to just updated then, because it was like,
unless
I was looking. Oh, you know what? I'm looking at the damage values. Okay, no, you're good. You're good.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So I was looking at the damage values. I was like, man, that's a pretty substantial jump. But no, I see. Yeah, you're right. So actually not a big gap there. Okay, interesting. So
keeping it fairly close. But second and third place does have a bit of a separation there, and that is where Radiscution needs to improve there. Maybe one of their games can become one of the 2 that they drop, because again, we are taking the best 6 out of 8 today. So if they can sort of improve their play from this point on, it looks like they're doing a pretty good job of it so far. All they need to do is continue it, and they'll be right up there with the top 2.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on. So we're going into the last game for NA. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. I haven't seen a whole lot from some of the teams that I'm not a little bit more familiar with. We had a pretty good game come out from Kring. That's a hard name to say on the first one, but I haven't actually seen them in a minute. I'm not sure where they've been fighting at, where they're landing at. But yeah, so we'll see. We will see.
Yeah, definitely. And I do have to give my commendations to all the players that ended up coming out here. This is the best way to improve. You coming out to scrims, you're coming out to the best players in the entire world, if I do say so myself, minus, of course, the Oceanic side. We don't get a lot of them. But in AEU, you're finding some of the best. So keep coming out to scrims, keep practicing. Maybe you'll go ahead and land in one of these qualifiers and take you home a nice little prize of $30 at the end of the day. Or if you make it to finals, we got an even bigger prize pool. Of course, always big thanks to Proletariat for sponsoring this Element Fusion tournament, giving us the 1740 on the prize pool there. And if you would like to go ahead and contribute to that prize pool, we do have a donation box. 70% of your donation will go directly to it. 30% will go to the rest of our production and, of course, paying for our graphics team. They do a pretty great job from what I'm seeing here. I mean, look at all this. Look at all these rotating lights and all this emblem up there. Now, that's a pretty good one right there. And we got plenty more coming for you in future events. So if you'd like to contribute, go ahead, get your name up in lights right here, along with the rest of us. And we'd be happy to have you. Of course, follow the socials as well. We'll be getting into game 4 here very shortly. Crashy, man, tell me your thoughts here. We do have game 4 coming up. It's the last chance for all these NA teams to show themselves. What are your predictions coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I think Solar Bear has been doing a really good team with his squad. What are they, the Bear Gods? They've been doing really, really well. I think they're keeping it pretty consistent. I want to see a little bit more coming out from like Dirty Mike and the boys, and what's the other team? I'm trying to use their team names more because it's just a little bit more concise. Yeah. But it's really hard to remember all these team names. Malongo Bros. We actually saw them get a little bit further in that last game. Primotastic, really the only member that I'm too familiar with or a bit familiar with, but I want to see a little bit more coming out from them. Prediction wise, I think Diego Sexy is they're really locking this one up. They've been playing very, very consistent. That said, Radiscution has been, they're kind of on the chase. Like they're a team has been improving week after week. I've been seeing a lot from them, and I think that they're kind of like finding their stride here in the qualifier. So they do have the one left, the one last NA game. We're going to be jumping into that right now. So game number 4, and look at that, already going to be on with Malongo Bros. And this is what, potential early engagement? I'm not really sure. It looks like they actually found a disruption onto a player in the lobby, the Ghost Reaper. It looks like they're going to be chasing up. The Primotastic leading the charge is going to be on that Stone Shaper. So we'll see if they can grab themselves some extra points. You actually see Wawa Weewa jumping forward, has that teleport. It's going to find the second as well. So they're going to go ahead and get some free little points here early on.
Yeah, good stuff to them. It's good that they're showing up to the fight here, getting those early points on. You know it snowballs so well. Not really that much loot getting off of the early engagement there, but they do have a new area to sort of explore here. They do have access to Ruby Grove as well as the tower to the north there that Wawa Weewa is kind of rotating towards, along with Primotastic. So maybe they'll find some more belts, maybe they'll find some more boots, get that speed, get that durability, and they'll be right and ready for this next engagement coming out. Of course, Wawa Weewa still rocking the fortitude over the fervor that we normally see. It is an interesting strategy that they bring out. I know that Megaverse likes to do the same kind of thing, so maybe it works out for him quite well. We'll have to see how that plays out, but we do see in the kill feed, speaking of Megaverse, him and Diego Contra are going to take out Radiscution very, very early on, fighting over, I have to imagine, the Shadow Grace area again. So that's unfortunate for Radiscution, but that is a very, very nice pickup for Team Diego as Sexy. They'll be feeling pretty good rocking in this little tower.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big hit considering, this is going to be the last NA game, and Radiscution, they're hanging in there in the standings, so it's not completely over. I mean, this could easily be one of their wipe-up games, no big deal. But this is definitely, one of the games that they would prefer to use as one of their pop-off games and have the opportunity to to put a lot of points on the board, even if that means that they get like second place to, Diego as Sexy or something like that. You know what I mean? They definitely wanted this game. Unfortunately, they're going to go down, but it's not the end of the road for them. I think they're sitting in like 3rd or 4th place currently in the standings. So they still have some games they can put up. And again, we take, for anybody that doesn't know how these events run, if this is their first time watching, we do 4 games on NA, 4 games on EU, and we take your best 6 performances. So there's room to mess up. In Battle Royales, there's some RNG, there's some different variables, and we want to give everybody that fair chance to potentially have the best games that they can. So that's what we're gonna see out of Radiscution from this one. This will be a wipe-up game, and hopefully they can do a little bit better going on to the other region.
Yeah, another point to build off there. We do highly reward damage and exiles as opposed to just placement. So if you want to do well in these events, you got to be aggressive. You got to take these early fights. You got to continue that consistency throughout all these 8 of your games, and just make it it really makes it a nice spectator sport at the end of the day. Like as much as I love seeing players camp in bushes and play for placement all day, I really like seeing fights as well. So I really do like the system that we have coming out. It's nice to cast and it's nice to view as well. And look at Diego Contra's build here. This is the same build, actually the exact same build that we saw out from Wolf the other day, from yesterday. He is rocking Harmony, Finders Keepers, and Thirsty there, really playing the full support role, but he is opting to take the body talent for himself as far as these scrolls are concerned. So maybe a little bit of better funneling could be used there. Oh my goodness, he actually finds someone out of place here. So maybe this is a nice little engagement he can collapse on, but they do have the order to retreat. They want Megaverse and Proster to lead the way, but it looks like he is kind of on an island by himself. Megaverse is quite separated out from them. It looks like he's kind of playing his own game, going out into the distance there. I can't even see him on the mini map. So we'll have to see where they end up rotating towards, and it looks like Megaverse will lead the way. Diego on the quick follow-up.
Yeah, on the follow-up, indeed. He does actually have that flight rune, too, so he's going to be able to close the gap quite a bit. Not something that he'll probably hang on to for too long, but that legendary Frost, and I actually think he has some knowledge in there somewhere. And I now that I see it, it makes a lot of sense because it's perfect in a 3-1-2 type build. It's going to be rocking that Finders Keepers, and that's probably how they've been getting so many scrolls. And Finders Keepers, I don't remember if I talked about it in the last qualifier I was on with Mana Class. It's something that I think is being a little undervalued, especially for anybody that might be running like a 3-point talent on either side of their build, either body or spirit. It's something that I think is going to be really, really beneficial. Now, you have to play around it a little bit. You have to allow that player to be the one that opens up a lot of those chests, that opens up the potential for them to find those scrolls and get that value. And that's something that I think we're seeing a little bit out of Diego is sexy. That said, we're going to be on board with Dio right now. They're going to be in a full-on engagement. Again, this is our South American team, the Hashira, I believe their name is. We're going to be watching Dio try to get some good position. That said, Matches is going to find that first disruption onto Guhard. Unfortunately, Dio is going to be able to answer back a little bit, though, with a disruption onto Zebra. So, unfortunate. Matches is going to find the Ice Lance onto Dio out of the sky, and it looks like Death Envoy is going to fall as well. So that team's going to be fully eliminated from game number 4. So we're going to be swapping over to Matches and Majin. Zebra is going to be down, but not a big deal. Actually, it might be because the third party is coming in, and this is a full disengage. Unfortunately for Zebra, he might not be able to get picked up here, OSK.
Yeah, I think Zebra is a lost cause at this point until they can find a better position here. You have to imagine that the comms are coming out from Zebra to tell when they are trying to go for the exile and when they're not. It looks like they're in a safe place right now, but it looks like Matches is going to opt to rotate around. Maybe he says that the rest of the squad actually left me alone. I am free. I am safe. Go ahead and get me up, my friend. I'm in the bush. Just res me up a little bit. There is a little bit of fire coming out, and Matches will go ahead and be disengaged from Zebra. Now he could have chanced it and tried to get him up just a little bit, but yeah, that the threat from the fire is going to be a little bit much, especially with the zone coming in, taking them down just a little bit. And here's one of your favorite talents that I know you like running. Recklessness is actually being ran instead of Escapist here, so he is looking for that increased damage off the outbreaks if his shield is all gone. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, you know, the reason I like Recklessness a lot is, especially in Clash, is that you spend so much time alive in situations where you don't have shields or you may not be able to get more shields. This is interesting because the value from Recklessness is going to have a very short window, you know, where you're either going to be alive and you don't have the ability to reset, or maybe you're just in that mid-fight. It happens almost automatically. You don't even have to think about it. You just get that additional damage. But Escapist always gives you value, and I think that's why we see a little bit more Escapist. But look at this fight going down right here. Plato actually getting very low, and Wawa Weewa is going to be full health. Primotastic trying to chase up, get some damage in here as if he can. Over here at the top side of the map, and the zone is not going to be in their favor. But look at this Primotastic King Ryzen going to get so much damage. He's unfortunately going to fall. It looked like that fight was kind of going in his favor, but Wawa Weewa and Plato kind of fighting in a separate spot. So they're going to peel back and see if they can find some kind of a situation where they can help him. But no, King Ryzen dropping down the Dragonfire, and he is not going to let this happen so easily. Unfortunately, Wawa Weewa might be going down very soon. Plato hanging on to that last little bit of health that he does have as well. And actually looks like Wawa Weewa might be resetting with some health potions, maybe has a little bit of recovery working for him as well, but Primotastic is not in the best position. I'm not sure this is going to be even a position that they can stop the execute. No, King Ryzen is going to take him down, and that's an unfortunate situation there. But look at this. It's going to be the entire Dirty Mike and the boys team. They're still up. Oh, look at that. Mike Mike Wazowski actually gets knocked. The disruption coming out from Plato, and King Ryzen actually kind of on the back foot. He's in a tough situation, doesn't have many cooldowns, but he is going to be able to slip away. He's still alive here. We'll see if he has any kind of room to make a play. Mike Wazowski not going to be exiled just yet, so they have a little bit of time here, and that fight engagement getting so very close. The lightning strike is going to drop down. This player's going to be absolutely one-shot. Maniac takes down Wawa Weewa, and Plato is going to be full exiled as well. I think that might be the end of that fight, and look at that. Matches in the kill feed as well. Mystic, King Kevin, and Guile all taken down at the hands of matches somewhere else on the map as well.
Yeah, and what a recovery coming out from King Ryzen, playing no fear, just landing all the fire damage that he can. Megaverse with the huge damage. Oh my goodness, he got deleted. You saw all the stone coming out. That's 2 stone slams into the frost. That's a true combo, my Smash Bros friends. And you are not escaping Megaverse's wrath, as he is just landing down all of these shots, landscaping this mountainside. You cannot stop the farmer right now. He is landscaping his lawn. You better stay off of it, my friend. He paid a lot of money for this, and you're not taking it away from him.
Yeah, and look at that. Diego Contra following that up with a disruption onto Timmy, and they just are holding this team out. They don't want to let it happen. That might be actually a third party coming in. I see that Alacrity, so that might potentially be a completely different team. We'll see how that develops. You can see some lightning bolts coming over towards their section. They're holding on to this backside of this mountain. Look at this nice little lip that provides a little bit of cover left and right, so they can kind of sit here, relax, chill for a little bit. And even just looking at Megaverse's loot, he has so many shields. I think we got some Thirsty working on him as well, so he's just getting healed up. And Timmy, I believe, going to get disrupted again.
Look at the constitution for Megaverse saying, yeah, I'll just stand still and you're not going to hit anything. I'm confident right now. I feel like Megaverse just like has this confidence exuding from him. Maybe it is a little bit of overconfidence in some parts, but he's like, yeah, I'm safe right here. You're not going to hit me. I don't care how many times you try. I'm good. So it's just cool to see like the confidence from all these players out. Like they know their limitations, and they know the limitations of the people that they're facing, that they can make these sort of plays with 100% accuracy. It's just great. I love to see it. But anyway, they're going to be rotating off. The zone is going to be closing here pretty quick, and they know this team has to flee this house very, very soon. Now he will opt for the frost damage. That's a nice free snipe. That's 50 HP plus a little bit of armor left on his opponent here. Megaverse will get slowed down, has to avoid the freeze. Now he will opt to spring step back in. He is a little bit charged up on the boulders here, so he does have quite a bit of DPS ready in the wings. Let's see if he'll make great use of it. Looks like he's opting to go back towards the flatter area here, knowing the strength that it gives his stone. Now, he does see the lightning strikes over the edge of the mountain here, so that is going to be a place to keep an eye out for. But it looks like Megaverse is going to have no fear. He wants to go ahead and engage this team, and he doesn't care if his team can keep up. He is going to do it himself. Now, that is a nice defensive area that the Conduit squad does have on that mountain there, so maybe staying away from it just a little bit. He spots a small skirmish coming out here, looking for the third party, and he will get it. Matt Sod is going to be disrupted, looking for number 2, and Crashy, this might get really ugly. Megaverse is looking to lay down so much damage right now.
Yeah, somewhere through that engagement, Diego Contra getting dangerously low. Megaverse taking quite a bit of damage as well. So we're seeing, what is this? Mike Wazowski comes out of nowhere like a bat out of hell. Megaverse is going to drop down, and now the full-on engagement coming toward the side of Diego is sexy. You see Diego just trying to disengage, but there's so many players. It looks like a Proster, going to be coming back and peeling for Diego, and that's going to be King Ryzen getting taken down. So Mike Wazowski and the boys going to be fighting up against Diego is sexy. We'll see how this fight develops, and that's Proster getting the disruption onto Mike Wazowski, going to be the last player left alive in BNAG. Will they be able to fight him as Proster going to be getting dangerously low? Diego Contra presumably going to be dropping himself a shield, and yes, you do see that develop now, and it looks like Megaverse just, listen, he's just a camera, right? He's just looking, giving some information, trying to see if he can help out his team the best that he can. Diego Contra and Proster are still alive. We'll see if they're able to finish up the fights that they are in. It looks like Wonderful going to get disrupted, and we're going to be dropping to some other spot on the map. We're just loading, chilling. Oh, there's Wonderful. Yeah, he's going to be down. Solar Bear, the last one left alive, and we'll see if he can stick in it, because we've seen him do it time and time again here in the end game. The last player left is going to be Zebra. We're actually over onto SK, the full team alive. Majin, Zebra going to be all up. They're looking to see if they can close this one out. Only 6 players left remaining. It only might be a couple players. Yes, it's going to be Proster, the last one standing. So SK going up against Proster, and yes, he's going to get taken down. Mike Wazowski gets that elimination onto Megaverse in total. That's going to be the SK team finds themselves the winners of game number 4.
Man, you have to imagine the standings at this point are going to be really, really close. I think we had a different team win every game so far. 4 games, 4 different first place finishes. So that's just a testament to how even these teams are in terms of their strategy, in terms of their rotation, in terms of their mechanics and their coordination. You have to imagine that they all put in the same amount of work. They all put in a similar amount of scrims, and they are all ready to compete here. And it will be a nice little barn burner going into our halftime here. Now, we will play the next 4 games on EU, but before we do that, we will go ahead and go to a nice little halftime break, give you some of the standings here in halftime, I do believe. So we'll go ahead and skip over there. Crashy, man, these teams are out here to play. I'm eager to see who's going to perform in EU.
Yeah, we've like you said, we've had really really close games so far. I mean, a lot of teams are just kind of like barely stepping over each other game after game. Unfortunately, that last one, Radiscution, went down rather early, but that's just one game. They've got 4 more, and of which only 6 are going to count in total, so not a big deal. But Mike Wazowski and the boys, I mean, we're seeing Silent Killers, we're seeing Bear Gods. We're seeing a lot of these teams consistently making it to the end. Diego is Sexy, obviously going to be most likely still sitting in that first place position, but a lot of these teams consistently making it to the end game, just getting in these different scraps. Whoever can kind of keep themselves alive, close out their fights with a lot of conviction, close them out very strongly where they don't have to do these big resets where a third party can't come in and just sweep over them really quickly. Those tend to be the teams that take the game home. So that said, we're going to be wrapping up game 4, going into our halftime, and then we'll be back on EU for 4 more games.
Stick around.
We could, honestly.
Hello and welcome back to Element Fusion qualifier number 6. Halftime is over. We've had 4 crazy games, and 4 different winners. 4 crazy games, lots of fighting, lots of scrapping, and it's been a pretty interesting one. I love the fact that we have a couple of Frostborn players. I don't know, I forget who it was that was playing the Tempest. Again, I'm only bringing this up because it actually just fully interests me to see how these players are using these classes. And I have to say that, for the kind of like overall perception that like Frostborn is like one of the weaker classes, I feel like we see so little Tempest. It's very, very rare that we see Tempest. So whenever I see either one of those classes come out, I always get a little bit excited. But hey, listen, we have 4 more games, OSK. How are you feeling about it, man? This has been a pretty crazy qualifier so far.
Man, I'm just ready to see how they're going to adapt to the different server here. Of course, we are keeping it EU, even though there isn't an EU team. We're keeping that consistency among all of our events here. So we'll see how things change, whether they run different classes as far as like putting more AoE. I know that there's been a lot of Conduit. I know that there's been a lot of Frostborn coming out. So we'll have to see how some adjustments come out. Now, speaking of Frostborn, I mean, we're seeing it very, very prominently here. It's a little bit more prominent than I would have thought, actually. Maybe you're just kind of leveraging more protection from your team that you're able to kind of stay back and just get some free frosts off. A little bit different from the solo side of things, but seems to be working out quite well for some of our people. To comment on your Tempest analysis there, I would say it's because there's a lot more Frostborns and because there's a lot of conduits that there's just so many opportunities. If you're up in the air and you're a big target, that you're just going to get shot down at the entire time. I feel like that is the case, and I say that, but it looks like Ashen Frost yesterday did pretty well with it. So maybe it's more of a comfort thing. I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I said, like Speary, one of the few Tempest players that consistently plays Tempest in the competitive scene. Also, the thing I have to give Speary props, and not just because I actually have never really talked to Speary much, but I have to give him props because not only is he one of the few competitive Tempest players, but he's one of the few players in the entire competitive scene that actually runs ambidextrous. And I love that because, we talk about ambidextrous. I think it's kind of a weaker talent in the meta. It's not something that a lot of players have adopted, but he's out there running it. He runs it well. Him and his team do very, very well for themselves. And I think that he's really found his preferred play style. And that's one of those great things about Spellbreak just to begin with. I mean, it's just like the subjectivity, the builds, the way that you want to play, the team composition that you build. It's all just super, super fun. And I really like to see that. So we'll see how more of that kind of influence can happen, like more of these players building their own play style, their own team fighting and stuff like that. Because again, we have like Solar Bear and Diego Contra running the Frostborn, something you don't see a ton of, and they're actually not even running it the same way. It's not like they're locked into the same build. Diego Contra going to be running a Harmony build, Solar Bear always running the Focus Mana build. So really, really, big shots that come out from him. He was our winner of game number 1. So some pretty cool stuff that's been going on. Diego Contra and his team, obviously the Diego is Sexy, I think, still holding that first place position. They've been sitting in there pretty much since the end of game number 2, if I remember correctly. They've been able to hold that spot. But hey, we got 4 games on EU, maybe some different compositions, maybe some different builds coming out. People do have to compensate for that ping difference. But yeah, exciting stuff. We're halfway done, 4 more to go.
And I think as long as they keep up the consistency, I think Team Diego is Sexy is going to be feeling pretty good going into these last 4 games. So they've been really consistent on the start. Of course, we are, again, just taking the 6 best games that you can put up. And so far, I mean, they've been pretty consistent, like I said, through these first 4 games. So I think they're going to be feeling pretty good. It'll be interesting to see now that we have kind of 2 throwaway games from Radiscution, if they are going to rise to the occasion. We did see them kind of get put out early in, I believe it was game 2. They ended up winning game 3, but game 4, they went out so early to Team Diego is Sexy. So you can't afford to mess up anymore. This is your time to redeem yourself. We do give a little bit of leeway just to get those early drop shenanigans out of the way if you do need it. But if you don't, then you're feeling pretty good anyway. So we'll see how that plays out for them. And also want to keep an eye. Our second place team, like we were saying, Solar Bear, probably individually one of the better players that we have coming out in this event, backed up by Wonderful and Timmy. And speaking of ambidextrous and of Timmy, it looks like he's been the one rocking it on Conduit. We were talking about how it's a little bit weird for him to play Conduit as opposed to Pyromancer, but with ambidextrous minus the Firefly skill, it's almost the same class.
Yeah, it's interesting. A part of me wonders if it would be like, if you are going to run the ambidextrous, if it would be better to run like the pyro with the offhand lightning with the ambidextrous, because you're still going to get that potential energy, which is a crazy benefit. But overall, I mean, end game lightning strikes, having overload, I mean, some of those things, they do matter. So, I could definitely see the case being made for running either which side of that. And this is kind of an interesting narrative that I'm going to spin here just for the overall qualifier. We do have our one South American team, the Hashira, and they have not had the best game so far. They're playing against a full NA lineup on NA games, but this is really where things can kind of balance out for them a little bit. I don't know exactly. I'm not going to pretend like I know what the ping to EU is from South America. I'm not going to pretend.
200, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like it's a big benefit for them because they're still lagging no matter how you look at it. But they're lagging. Everybody else is lagging a little bit. Might be a situation where they can put some more points on the board and kind of climb themselves up a little bit. So we'll see how that develops. That's going to be Dio, and I'm not sure how to say his teammate's name, Kikizin and Guhard. So we'll see if they can have a little bit better games for themselves overall. And yeah, I'm pretty interested in that. We've seen a little bit of action from the Mongolo Bros, Plato, Primo, and Wawawiwa, but not anything that has been able to stick too well. And then obviously SK keeping themselves in the game. I don't want to say anything about any of the other teams without bringing them up. So we got Bear Gods, SK, and Diego is Sexy kind of holding that top position. But Radiscution, they're not out of it just yet. They have to have a couple of good games to really climb themselves back a little bit. Again, they're one of our winners for today, so we definitely know they're capable. But we'll see what happens, what develops. We have 4 more games left. So it's going to be very interesting. And even just like talking about things like Mega versus Bill has been really interesting to me today, rocking that Frost offhand, something I haven't really seen out of him. I'm still not sure I'm in the mind of Megaverse yet with that one, but I mean, he's landed some nice Frost shots. You made a nice call on that one. Game number 4 is going to be underway. So jumping in with Dio, and this is actually a really early fight down here in Timberend. And this is actually probably going to be a lobby team because we do see that Vital Stone, not something I think is going to enter the meta, but oh no, Death Envoy is actually fully exiled. So that might have been an unfortunate situation. So unfortunately for the Hashira, they're going to be losing one of their teammates right off the start. Yeah,
a little bit of give and take there. We do go ahead and take the legendary fire here, but we do give up one of our teammates. So unfortunately, they are looking a little bit weak as far as the squad is concerned, but at least on the gauntlets, Dio is feeling pretty good for himself. So maybe he'll go ahead and try to collapse on some early teams, try to get some early exiles. I'm not sure if the 2-man squad can pull it out against the 3-man, but at least we have the gear to go around. So as long as they get looted up, I think they'll be okay as long as they play it smart. Looks like we're going to be jumping off over to BNAG. We have King Ryzen and Dirty Mike and the boys just getting it done here. We do see the conduit coming out, the feather fall to avoid the damage, and the follow-up coming from King Ryzen. We're about to see it unfold here. The Dragonfire coming out, and BNAG just playing the nice little backline, putting down some stuns, putting down some lightning damage with the focus mana, with the fervor. That's a lot of lightning bolts, and just needs to connect on a few more to seal out this exile, Crashy.
Yeah, and this is one of those interesting fights I talk about at the really early game fights where you don't even have like a build. You're missing gear pieces. We got BNAG rocking the conduit and has this like offhand frost, so not even like a really comfortable build that he's able to fight with. Mike Wazowski doesn't have a belt at all, and ultimately they're just doing whatever they can. But look, a lot of damage coming out from BNAG now. He's going to be looking to connect some of those lightning bolts. He does have that feather fall, which is like not the best run in the world, but hey, it's early game. Maybe they don't even have something that can deal with it. You never know. It looks like this team that they're fighting against is in full disengage, and as I look in the kill feed, Bash at LMAO going to find 3 for himself, and that's going to be a nice little set of points, a little start coming out from Radiscushion, but this is still BNAG and his team. This fight is just taking so much time, unfortunately for them. It does look like they're on the winning side of it, though, but it's just kind of like a time-wasting kind of engagement, unfortunately. But it does look like they are going to be at least, you know, they're mostly stable. They're not really at, you know, too big of a worry. King Ryzen is kind of leading the charge a little bit, but this is just a big poke and disengage kind of fight here.
Yeah, it looks like the New Age villains are being brought to justice in the kill feed there, as we do see Bastion taking out all 3 of them. He's a Bastion for justice, and look at that, 3 different elements on him too. I'd have to imagine it's a little bit of Dragonfire, a little bit of Stone action. He is rocking the Stone Shaper build, so it'll be interesting to see if we can get onto him a little bit later to see what exactly he is running. But in the meantime, we do have BNAG chasing down this team. It is a Frostborn, and it looks like it's a full squad. So that's a nice engage on the stun there, getting a nice little bit of chip damage onto his opponent. And now he'll be floating up, trying to provide any sort of potential energy that he can to his team. Mike Wazowski will go down, though, so it is a 2v3 situation. BNAG makes it up. That's Diego Quattro going down. This is Team Diego is Sexy with Megaverse and with Proster as well. They are getting into a heavy engagement, but the stones coming out and the immediate fracture. The true combo coming out, saying you are exiled to the Shadowlands, to the Shadow Realm. I cannot speak today. My references are off, but looking at the kill feed here, Megaverse is going to go ahead and do the rest of the damage. Team Dirty Mike and the boys is out of this fight, and the snowball continues, Crashy.
Wow, what an unfortunate situation. I have to say, I mean, that's kind of the risk that you run when you full engage on a chase like that. And again, it's that early fight where like the situation is just awkward. It's a little weird. You don't even really have your build. But speaking of builds, we're going to be watching Timmy now. Timmy going to be rocking Pyro, offhand lightning. So this is not the same thing. We got a different build. He's not going to be doing the ambidextrous. This is a comfort pick for Timmy. Definitely something that I'm interested to see how it plays out, because I'm just not sure that they've had the results that they wanted out of Timmy specifically. Not out of the team. Obviously, they're doing great, but this is, hey, this might be the difference between, edging themselves to a first place or dominating a first place finish. So, this team, they're looking to make a little bit of changes. I'm excited to see how it plays out for them. We got Timmy on Pyromancer OSK. I mean, what more could we ask for here?
Man, all I got to say is that the shackles are off. You're fully unlocked. Timmy is able to do Timmy things, and it's going to be interesting to see if it makes a difference. I believe that it will. We'll have to see for sure here in the future, but in the meantime, we do have King Kevin and Mystic from Team Kring. It's your favorite team that you love to talk about here that we don't really know that much about. We're about to know right here, as it looks like they're a little bit short on exiles right now, but looking to change that fact. Just kind of looting up real quick. It looks like they might have some invaders in the tower. It looks like there is a little bit of a scuffle coming up. I do see a little bit of an afterglow coming out. But, there's the rest of the team. Now we're getting the full engage. This is where the champions are made. King Kevin, though, is getting chunked down quite a bit. That recovery is going to be trying to come up and restore all that health. And it looks like we have Guile taking a lot of damage as well. Mystic still has the shields, but not for long, as that does go down. We have a little bit of thirsty action coming out from Guile, it looks like, and that will go ahead and restore his teammates. Now, Mystic opting to reset. If he can work his way around this tower, if he can get to a little bit of a higher place, get a little bit of a better angle for that frost, we might see something different, and this might be the moment to do it, as his team is fully restored and nobody is exiled.
Yeah, and I'm actually very surprised they were able to reset so well. And look at that. As soon as I say that, King Kevin getting very damaged, got a lot of damage coming out his way, but Mystic's right there to follow up. And this player has overexerted himself into the bottom of this castle. He is unfortunately not going to fall just yet. Mystic's taking a lot of damage, trying to land that shot, not going to connect with that. That's Solar Bear and the Bear Gods are on the siege of the castle. That's 2 players down now. The last member standing, King Kevin. has quite a hill to climb. They was just all over, just dipping and dodging in and out of this castle, and I think that Guile might be getting exiled if I'm reading the situation right. But no, he's just going to go ahead and move himself over. But Mystic now, he's going to rely on the support from King Kevin, and he's again going to be facing a 1v3, looking in the kill feed yet again. That's going to be Diego Contra is taken out. Radiscution. But hey, man, we're still fighting at the castle. King Kevin, the last man standing. I don't know if he's going to be able to help, but he's got to get a little bit committal here because he's running out of time. And unfortunately for the enemy team, you know, what can he do? I mean, what can he do? Ultimately, they're just kind of dancing around the castle with him. They're taking a little bit slow, but Primo-tastic is actually getting a knock on the Diego Contra. So across the map, in some fashion, there is a third fight, some all kinds of craziness going down, and that's going to be Solar Bear locking it down. That team is unfortunately not going to be able to stick in it. Kring is going to go down here in game number 5. Solar Bear, we see it. Timmy and Wonderful, they've got a lot of loot to play with here.
Yeah, definitely. But we look in the kill feed here as we get on to Diego is Sexy here. That's Mofongo Boys taking it out. Mofongo Bros taking out Team Diego is Sexy. So this is most definitely going to be one of the games that they want to drop. They need to go ahead and do a little bit better in these later games, as this is a prime opportunity for Team Bear Gods to catch up in the standings. They need, like we said, the word of the day is consistency. They're going to need to do this the whole rest of the next 3 games. But we'll see how the final standings shape up here, but we do have Mofongo Bros really doing a great job of finding themselves in a better spot than they did on the NA side of things. Now we have Bear Gods trying to take down this floating target here. Solar Bear just finding out what a little bit of higher ping will do for you. Getting the fortitude off of that opponent, though, is huge. That will be a nice advantage going into this next little engagement. Timmy looking to play the front line, looking to rotate back. That's a nice little bit of free damage, and this is Solar Bear cleaning up. That's Row going down. And now we have a little bit better action here. The teleport coming out for the reposition. Solar Bear looking for his last little target here. There it is. He's focused down, and that's a nice snipe. Coming out with a follow-up. Oh, misses the second one, but it will get followed up on by Wonderful, by Timmy, and by Solar himself. Just trying to seal it out, and Wonderful will go ahead and take out Matt Sod 308. Now it's just one more member on the Team Newbies, and it looks like Solar Bear has a prime opportunity. Looking for that snipe. A little bit of cover coming out. Going to miss that one. Going to try to hit the next one. Nothing doing, but it's okay. We have a good team behind him. That's Wonderful taking out Indefiable, and this lead, as of right now, is Indefiable.
Yeah, Newbie's going to fall there, unfortunately, but the thing is, you have to be able to question whether or not Solar Bear and Bear Gods have read the game that they're in to know that some of these other contenders are kind of out of it. Now, this game, looking at the standings, the only teams that I know that are kind of sitting close to the top that are still alive is going to be Bear Gods and SK. Now, if SK is still around the map, they're able to, you know, keep themselves going, get to the end of the game, maybe find some exiles, get some points. But Solar Bear and his squad have been kind of flying around the map. This might be the game where you say, hey, look, I know we're doing well, but if we W key here, if we wipe out the majority of the lobby, this could be a gigantic performance from us. And I think that's what we're starting to see here. Solar Bear getting here at the top of Halcyon, and what kind of, that was the craziest teleport I think I've ever seen in my entire life, OSK.
Hey, that's what happens whenever you master the teleportation, but he also eats a frost snipe for his troubles there, so he will have to kind of play it just a little bit more carefully. But man, this teleport skill is on point, and a little bit of crouch for confidence. He is feeling pretty good about that evasion. Now, it didn't really result in anything advantageous for him. It just kind of showcased how good he is with teleport, so he'll be looking to do something a little bit more proactive coming in. Taking up this high ground right here with the ridge. Looks like this will be the play. Needs to be careful of all the combustible fireballs here, but he will go ahead and get the heal off. Now we have a little bit of a different squad coming from the more northwestern side of Halcyon. He will go ahead and reposition. He sees the lightning, doesn't see a stone, so he feels okay on the flat ground. Gonna go ahead and take up this nice little perch. This is a crow's nest, and Solar Bear is looking for the snipe. Can he land one or two? We're about to find out here in the Element Fusion Qualifier. Let's see if he can do it. That's a nice little slap. Let's see if we can find a snipe. And is being slapped down, actually. This is really, really dangerous. Needs to teleport away, get a little bit of a reset going, and that is exactly what he'll do. The teleport skills are coming out, but the third party is as well. This might be the end of Solar Bear, but we'll have to find out here in just a second.
Yeah, Mofongo boys are getting very aggressive, and that's going to be the last member standing in Solar Bear. And this is one thing that you actually love about his build, is the ability to kite, We've seen him do this a couple of times. He's just buying as much time as he can. Unfortunately, not going to be able to step outside of the zone there. He doesn't want to take any damage, but if he can reset, even though he lost his teammates, that's okay. Timmy and Wonderful are going to be down, but this is like the Solar Bear special at this point. He stays alive. He gets points, but look at this. SK is alive and gaining points as well. This is the team that has been, also one of the other top contenders in this qualifier, and this might be a game that they can really flap the standings. That said, just looking at Matches' screen here, he doesn't have any exiles. I don't think I've seen them in the kill feed more than once or twice, so this is still very much so like the Bear Gods kind of game. They were able to stay alive. They were able to W key, get a lot of points for themselves, and Solar Bear is still alive, and that is such a crucial part of gaining a bit more additional points here. But that said, we're going to be on board with SK. They have a really comfortable position in this castle. You see Matches just looking for some potential snipes, and he's going to be rocking that Focus Mana Fervor build, of course rocking the recovery as well. But it's all just about the positioning, and as it looks like a full-on engage is coming out just like towards their direction. Majin taking a bunch of damage. Matches is going to be getting damage as well. The Frost Shot, the Ice Lance going to be connecting onto Matches. Lots of damage. Timmy is going to full time out there, so that exile is set in stone. And I believe Solar Bear still hiding somewhere. So one thing you got to be careful for is just all of that damage coming your direction. When you are in the zone, when you do have a strong position, people are going to be looking your way. And so we see Matches trying to get out of that hole that he's in, see if he can get up to this high ground, connect with some of these shots with his team. The Dragonfire going to be coming out. Primo-tastic gets a double exile or a double knock there onto Wawawiwa and Matches. So lots of damage coming out his way. So it does look like Majin looking to carry on that trend of knocking their teammates. Unfortunately, Primo-tastic does fall with it as well, but just so much damage in such a small spot, you have to know that that friendly fire is going to be in full effect. Majin gets the exile onto Primo-tastic, but unfortunately, I believe he does go down at Solar Bear. Does Solar Bear win in solo?
He won solo, baby. That's a full win from Solar Bear. The awareness, and that's really the last play that he did with the escape. That's what sealed out this game. You can never count him out. Never can. And he proves that as long as you stay patient, as long as you look for your opportunity, you can let the squads wail on each other, but as soon as it's your time to strike, you do it without hesitation, and that is a first place finish.
Solar Bear gets 2 first-place finishes in this one qualifier. The only team that's won 2 games thus far. And he did it from a position of being like down and out, right? Like he doesn't have his teammates. Yeah. He's sitting at the edge of the zone. We saw that in game number 1. He's sitting at the bottom edge of the zone, like drinking his little potions, kind of creeping along the edge of the storm. And then he pulls it out, right? Lets the teams fight. He turns into a 1v1, takes it down. Same thing happens. Lets the teams fight, lets it cut down as many players as possible, pops out, gets himself a slap onto Majin or whoever the last player was, and he takes it home, man. That's good. That's definitely got to not only feel good, but it's going to look good on the standings as well.
Definitely. And you have to think like he's carrying this on Frostborn with the teleport rune. Two of the more scarce strategies that you wouldn't think would work out in a solo situation, but it just proves that if you have patience, if you wait for your time, if you just wait for all of these squads to kind of wail on each other, they're trying to recover, but you're waiting in the wings, this can be some easy pickings for you. And this is exactly what he's showcasing here. And it also provides great escape tools, as you saw in that last little bit of chaos, that he somehow made it to the Fort Halcyon. He somehow was able to separate himself from about 3 squads there. And with no trace left to go, except for maybe a few frost trails, he does that so well. And he's been doing it all day. He may not have finished first more than twice today, but he has been consistently putting himself and his team in a higher placement than what you would initially think. He is an absolute master at playing for placement if he needs to, and with a fair amount of exiles to boot as well.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about the fact that that's a possibility, right? And the reason I'm bringing that up is because, sure, the strategy going into these fights is not, hey, look, abandon your team and go stay alive, right? But at a certain point, that's exactly what it becomes. Like, and it's the ability to create so much space for yourself and the ability to kite. I mean, we even saw it, I want to say it was like game 3 or 4, where it was like Megaverse was alive and there was another team alive, and he was just like, he was hitting like every section of the outside zone, whether he's using Alacrity to skate around or he'll just full across the zone TP. And While I'm, like I said, I don't think that's their initial strategy. It's something that they have in the pocket always, as where another team might not have that. You might see something similar with that, like if a player takes flight and they look to stall some time. But the difference is that he was able to create so much space. I mean, you have Alacrity, which is crazy mobility, and then you have TP, which is crazy mobility, and that's it's very unique. It's not something that we're going to see a lot from a lot of players in this qualifier. It's really just kind of his own unique little play style and something that is unique to the team that they have, like I said, in the pocket to just pull from and say, hey, look, man, we didn't do so great in that fight. Get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Get out of here. Go get us some points. Maybe win us a game. Solar Bear, how you feeling? Maybe win us a game. And he does just that.
Yeah, and it's not only the opportunity to get a higher placement, it's also the opportunity to third party another squad that's low, get a little bit more damage, get a little bit more exiles. You know that the exiles are 15 points and the damage is 0.08 for every point that you get. So those things really add up over time. We've seen some of these squads, even though, like, for example, Team Diego is sexy, while they are not finishing first every time, they're doing very consistent in the exile and damage department. So that kind of stuff really adds up whenever you look at the final score sheet. So it's definitely a viable strategy if you need to abandon a lost fight, kind of regroup. Even if you don't have all the members of your squad, you can at least do the best that you can with the hand that you're dealt. And I really think that is the story of today so far. Of course, we have 3 more games left to go. And again, those of you that are just joining in, we are just taking the best 6 out of the 8 games that you are playing. So even though we do have Diego is sexy, not really doing that well in terms of game number 5 results, that might be one of the games that they end up dropping if they are doing well in these last 3 games. So we'll keep that in mind going into these next 3. Crashy, I gotta tell you, man, it's going to be a close race between Bear Gods Bear Gods and Diego is sexy. If they can keep it up. Radis Kitchen, from what I'm being educated, is how you pronounce it. Radis Kitchen. I'm seeing it in the chat, but I don't know, man. I have no idea. They're saying like Radis and then Iskit is like from biscuit, and then Chun is like from Bastion. So Radis Kitchen.
All right, so we'll see what they're cooking up in Radish's kitchen. I got it.
Exactly, but they're going to have to cook up something very beefy, very tasty, and it's going to have to really please the crowd here, as they are not looking too good right now.
You think they cook with radishes?
You know what? If radish is cooked, man, I call that's just selling your teammate out, man. You're just cooking up radish.
Okay.
Let's be careful about that. Let's be careful about that.
Oh, man. The fact that there's like a pronunciation to that name and it's not just like interpretive is tilting.
It does indeed tilt me. And you know what? That's exactly what you don't want to do to your plate of food. You don't want to tilt your food. It just falls to the ground, and then you're just left there, just as sad as the name that they came up with. But anyway, we're going to be coming up with game number 6 here very, very soon. I'm just kidding, by the way, Bastion. It's a great name. I'm just really salty. But anyway, going to be coming up here with game number 6. Of course, we got to be talking about the rest of these teams here. We did see a nice little showing coming out from Kring, especially around, was it Wayfarer's Crossing? Is that what it's called there? Towards the western side of Avant-Garde. I believe that's the name of it. I don't actually know if it has a name. It might. I don't know. But anyway, they had a really good job. They're really good job of defending that tower from one particular team, but then got third-partied on. So maybe it's just a little bit of lack of rotation that we're seeing coming out from Kring. Maybe they can do a little bit better as far as coordination, when to disengage from a position once they know that it's lost. I would like to see them kind of adapt a little bit better coming into these last 3 games. It definitely is an opportunity, even if you're not leading the leaderboard. This is at the very least great practice against some of the best teams that we have to offer in the Spellbreak community.
Yeah, I think the other thing to be said is that like Silent Kill, SK has just been they're doing the same thing, right? Like they're staying consistent. They maybe aren't like winning every single game or anything like that, but they've been able to like get themselves to the ends of these games, get themselves some points. So they're definitely contending. I mean, obviously, like at least in the standings that I'm looking at right now, they're sitting in that 3rd place spot, definitely up there contending. We got to see if Radiskishin, whatever, can put some more points. Yeah, Radiskishin can get themselves a little bit higher up on the board. They do have to. Oh no! Look at that! Look at the kill feed right now. Matches.
Yikes!
The double disruption onto Electric Biscuit and Radish. We just jumped in the game, brothers. Unfortunate. But look at that. We're on Solar Bear. Listen, somebody go contest Bogmore.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness. This is
Oh man,
so
that's
unfortunate. Matches is burning my meal in the Radis kitchen. I can't believe this, man. My dinner is ruined. My day is ruined. My night is ruined. Everything is ruined. But you know what? We're just gonna get on to matches right here. We're gonna get on to Team Silent Kill. Oh man, he's on 20 HP. This is so sad to watch, man. I'm just watching him rotate around, chase this man down in the early game. They have the superior mobility and the superior loot, and that's going to be a completely burned up kitchen. My meal is gone. Oh, no. But that's a really nice pickup from Team Silent Kill.
Yeah, and so early, too. It does feel like this kind of qualifier might be slipping away a little bit, but unfortunately for Radis Kitchen, you know, they do have a couple games left, so not unfortunately, you know, it's not completely over. A lot of their kind of throwaway games have already been spent. That said, oh my goodness, look at this nice little ice lance coming out from Death Envoy, middle of the air. Dio going to be following that up with a kill onto Thanatos Drive. So getting these players wiped out, they might have dust pulled to themselves. We'll have to see. And he's already got a couple of good gauntlets in the pocket already, so really good stuff right off the bat. So we'll see what happens with this game as it develops, but nonetheless, SK, you know, taking out a team already so early, and you know, whenever it's one of the qualifier teams too, you just add into that points, add into the fact that you're kind of like thinning out the lobby, at least from the players that you kind of have your eyes on or worried about that you have to know, you know that you have to fight against at some point. So we'll see who they run into next. If any of these other contending teams, these like top 3 teams that have all been keeping it rather consistent, run into each other early, that's definitely something that they have to be a little bit worried about. But it's actually kind of going a little bit slow here, a little surprising.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, we did see some of the early skirmishes. We are sub 30 as far as the player count is concerned. So we don't have as many squads as we would like, but that's a nice knowledge potion that Guhard just found. Maybe you feed that to Dio, or you could possibly feed that to Death Envoy, since you do have the boulders that you can get from the knowledge potion, or onto Dio you can get a little bit of outbreak later on. So we'll have to see how that plays out. It's interesting that Death Envoy hasn't picked up any of these belts yet. I would imagine he wants to as soon as possible. So we'll have to see. But anyway, look at Guhard getting this last little point into recovery. That's going to be huge going into any fights that they can get. He's going to be so tanky. But we're going to swap off to Diego is Sexy here. Nice central position. Want to get as much action as possible. And we're about to see if it pays off for him.
Yeah, we'll see if he pays off for him. That said, Diego is Sexy out here next to the cathedral area. They're just kind of bouncing around the middle of the map, and they're all looking really healthy. I don't know what their scroll situation is like, if Diego is kind of like jumping around box to box, seeing if he can find some scrolls for him, assuming he hasn't changed up his talent build just yet. But that said, I mean, they're looking pretty good. Looking pretty good in the loot department, and now moving over to the north side of the map, it actually looks like Zebra going to be getting a knock on the Guile somewhere as well, but we're going to be on Matsod 308 as they might be looking to chase up a team here. We'll see. It's taking a little bit slow.
Yeah, just a little bit slow, trying to get as much residual damage as they can. Not really trying to hit anything, but if they do, then it's always just nice for some damage score. So looks like they won't fully commit over to that engagement there, but they do spot out, I believe, one of our teams that we were taking a quick look at. Forgot the name of them here, but we'll find out their names here very shortly. They're approaching very, very fast. This is Team Newbies going into a nice little engagement, trying to collapse on this zone, but they might be met with a few boulders here. So we'll have to stay tuned, be a little bit careful with what they run into. I do believe that this is Team Hashira that they're going to be running into, our South American team. They are playing on that higher ping, but they also have the bit of higher loot. You can see only the common stone onto Matt Sod, so maybe they want to avoid this for now. Maybe wait until they have a little bit more damage in the kit, but these boulders are going to be coming out from Matt Sod. We'll have to see if it pays off for him. So far, just looking for the loot that is not there. Team Hashira has already cleaned this out, except for that epic stone, apparently. Matt Sod is ready to go. Let's see if they're ready to collapse on here. And they left the knowledge potion. They actually left the knowledge potion. So this is huge for Matt Sod. This is going to be very, very interesting if they use this advantage that they now have. I thought they would have picked that up 9 times out of 10. Like I thought he did pick it up. Maybe I was blind.
We're going to chalk that up to a little bit of miscommunication. And actually, up on this hill, not going to be Hashira. Surprisingly, unless this is actually a fight with Hashira, it's going to be Dirty Mike and the boys. So, you know, that team over on the left-hand side, they might get away from this situation, you know, scot-free. And look at that. Mike Wazowski, you know, he jumps up in the air. He decides he wants to catch that boulder with his forehead. So we'll see if he can just go ahead and back up out of this situation. Doesn't look like they might be in a situation that they want to fight. It looks like a little bit of thirsty action, but the fight has found them. Mike Wazowski has to go on the offensive because his teammate is in a little bit of trouble here. You actually see a lot of damage coming over in the way of BNAG. So now Mike Wazowski going a little bit more aggressive, trying to get back toward the top of this mountain, and he's right behind this Baron skin. Is going to be able to find that knock. He runs out of mana, but yes, he is going to go on ahead and confirm that. It's going to be Dio going down at the hands of King Ryzen as well, the last player standing. Yes, he is. Guhard goes down.
Yeah, it's about time he centered up those toxic slaps. You can see the amount of damage you can get out when you get that full 10 slap. So much more damage than you would get from a glancing blow, and he makes it work out for him with the outbreak that he just got from the new zone. So that is fantastic mechanics coming up from Mike Wazowski. Seals out 2 of those exiles with King Ryzen in the wings, dealing some fire damage to Dio YouTube. So that will be Team Hashira already out of the lobby here. So an unfortunate placement for them. Maybe that knowledge potion did come back to haunt them. Not exactly on that team that we just saw run into Dust Pool, but you can imagine that would have helped them in that fight there. Now we do see in the kill feed that looks like Solar Bear's just doing some damage, as well as Diego is Sexy. They were both picking up some exiles as well as some disruptions. Bear Gods right now is feeling really, really good. And now we have Diego is Sexy collapsing onto Dirty Mike and the boys. We'll have to see how this plays out for him. Megaverse taking the lead and able to land these frost snipes. Let's see if he can land anything meaningful, but he does have this mountain advantage. This is exactly the kind of environment you want if you're Megaverse. These stone slams can go all the way down the mountain, and look at that. The damage is already coming out. Unfortunately, Diego is getting damaged himself, and he will go ahead and go down. This team is very healthy, collapsing onto Megaverse. This might be the end of Diego is Sexy, and Megaverse just having to hold it down. It's not going to be enough. He will go down to BNAG. Now it is a 2v1 situation. Will he be able to bring this out? It is Proster versus BNAG. Let's see who wins.
Yeah, now the last member standing for both of these teams. Proster actually was able to peel off quite a bit of damage. He found 2 disruptions himself. Those lightning strikes are going to be connecting quite a bit. So BNAG versus Proster. It's going to be Toxicologist versus Conduit. And look at this. The controller aim goes through the sky. BNAG taking down Proster. Not going to be able to finish that one up. So Mike Wazowski and the boys are going to take out Diego is Sexy. And that's one of our front runner teams that definitely wanted to get some points out of this one. So now I have to say it. I have to call it. Looks like BNAG and his team, Mike Wazowski and the boys, might be in a dangerous position. Looks like the enemy team is going to be pushing them, but this is SK's game potentially to put a bunch of points up on the board, as well as Bear Gods. I believe both of these teams still alive, and with Diego is Sexy out of this one, now is the time to strike. BNAG taking a lot of damage. This is going to be a full-on engagement. This team is not going to want to let them slip away. They know they're coming off the end of a fight, but look at this. BNAG landing shot after shot. The Featherfall is going to be coming out in full force, so that enemy player going to be looking to disengage. King Ryzen taking a bit of damage. Mike Wazowski falling down to that last bit of shields as well. We'll see if BNAG can help his team turn this one around. That's going to be Timmy getting a knock disruption in the kill feed as well, and that's going to be Ro. Rose goes down at the hand of BNAG.
Yeah, and it looks like that is going to be the end of Team Newbies here going out in the lobby, as well as New Age Villains. They are both down. So now we have Bear Gods, we have Dirty Mike and the boys. We'll have to see how they end up here. I don't have info as far as the other teams are left. I know that Silent Kill is one of them, but there's still another one that we have not yet accounted for. BNAG laying some good damage down with this Featherfall and Conduit setup. If he can go ahead and seal out just a little bit more damage, that opponent is so low. He is getting a little bit of shield back with that Stone Shaper. You can see it continually breaking there, but Matt Sod will finally go down to Mike Wazowski. And that is Newbies still in this, actually. Matt Sod is a part of Team Newbies, and there is the full exile there. Indefiable will go ahead and sit down. Now it's Silent Kill, Dirty Mike and the boys, and Bear Gods. They're all left. This is a 3-way deadlock. The zone is collapsing in 40 seconds. They're trying to get all this loot back. Maybe you go for the Mana Vault as well to top off your loot. Mike Wazowski could use some better shoes and some better jewelry. But look at this. Solar Bear already getting in the middle of it. He is damaged quite heavily, but we know how much of an escape artist he is from the last game. Still rocking the same setup. Not quite as good of rarity. And now getting collapsed on, though, this might be huge for them. If Solar Bear goes down, he is the anchor for this team. This is going to be huge, but it looks like he will get away for now, opting to go ahead and restore a little bit of shields, but he is being collapsed on very, very quickly. The Frozen Alacrity going to be giving his enemy a clear path to his butt. So he will have to go ahead and try to run just as fast as he can. The teleport is off a cooldown. This is a chance to get back into it.
Yeah, and this is really, like, at this point, you can really start to see that end game strategy for them. Like, if things go south, you full on swap to this, like, disengage, play for your life type style. Now, Wonderful actually did get a knock onto Majin from SK, and it's going to be Dirty Mike and the boys versus SK, presumably in a very committed fight here. You already do see BNAD taking a little bit of damage, but ultimately, Mike Wazowski and King Ryzen are going to be very healthy, and it's Solar Bear, maybe one of his other teammates still left alive, but they're just playing for the stall, playing for those additional points, whatever damage they can get, and maybe, who knows, just maybe Solar Bear can look to find himself another win. That's going to be matches getting the disruption onto Wonderful, so that's going to be another one of Bear Gods going down, and unfortunately, that's going to be that full exile. So Wonderful is going to be left out of the game, as he's going to be getting exiled. Solar Bear still just somewhere. That's the craziest part. Looking to stay alive the best he can, but Dirty Mike and the boys, at some point, they're going to get into a committed fight against SK, and we'll have to see how Solar Bear and maybe one other teammate, I'm not sure, you can actually see him skating around. It looks like he's trying to get to his teammate. That may not be the best decision. I think Solar Bear is going to have to leave him because there's just so much focus going his direction. Not going to be able to get his teammate. The teleport coming out, and Timmy actually getting fully exiled there, I believe, as well. At some point, he got exiled or disrupted, so Timmy not going to be able to stay alive. And now I do believe we're down to the last few teams left in this game.
Yep, it's Team Silent Kill. We have a full squad of Dirty Mike and the boys, and it's just Solar Bear yet again. We'll have to keep an eye out and see if we see a repeat, but it looks like he is being focused down this time. There is nowhere to hide. Silent Kill is not being silent at all, as we're seeing all of the boulders come out, and that's all the damage. Matches is setting fire to everybody in this lobby, as that is one more target off his list. Now we have Team Silent Kill and Team Dirty Mike and the boys. This is a full mono E mono squad B squad. Matches is getting low, and he might be the first one down. Zebra actually is going to take his place. He is down. BNAG is down. King Ryzen is down as well. So they are trading very, very heavily. Now it's a 2v2 situation. Mike Wazowski about to be burned down. He's about on 10 HP, and it's about to be 0. That is an exile onto Silent Kill, and Dirty Mike and the boys are going to take game 6.
Burr.
BNAG
putting out quite a bit of damage there. And yeah, you know, that last engagement, like you said, it was the last two teams. Matches was a little bit low, so you know he didn't really get that full reset that he was looking for. But as Zebra engaged forward, dead. Like, it just dead. Like, instantly, it was a lot of damage coming out. BNAG actually feather fall to the sky limit, and he beamed down, and he got the last final bit of damage onto him. But whatever hit him, whatever came his direction, Zebra just wasn't ready for it. It was a lot of damage coming out. So that's actually Mike Wazowski and the boys taking their game. And I was going to say, man, like, leading into that last fight, had it not, you know, come to fruition so fast, that was a big opportunity for SK to find more damage, more exiles, another, like, you know, a win on the board, like, just more and more points. Unfortunately, they're going to fall a little bit short of that, but still, that's going to be a good one for them. Still going to be a good one in the leaderboards. So we'll see how the standings are shifting, because I really just don't think I can call a clear winner in this one right now. I mean, I think Diego is actually still probably holding that number 1 slot. We do have, what, 3 games left? Are we going into?
Nope. We got 2 games left. Game number 7 and game number 8. And here's the kicker here. Pretty much Diego is Sexy have already given up 2 bad games already. That's not the best showing from them. If they give up 1 more game, this thing opens up, and it opens up wide. You have the door open for Team Silent Kill. While they didn't have the biggest showing there on the NA side of things, they are showing up for EU, as well as Dirty Mike and the boys. I'm not sure if they have a path to victory quite yet, but I mean, if BNAG wants to go buzz some more, he can go ahead and pick up some more exiles than what he's normally been capable of so far. Then maybe there is a path to victory, but it's going to be a very, very difficult one. Diego is Sexy. This is what the whole tournament hinges on. If they have another bad game, then this is going to be wild.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. We're going to have to see how it breaks down, because like you said, the thing is even if they're sitting in that first place position, like, the ability for them to even, like, cutout games is kind of gone. So the points are going to
Yeah.
like really like rise to catch up to them as opposed to them like pulling further and further away. So they're kind of like fighting to keep themselves at the top of the podium right now. And there are a couple of teams that are very close. I mean, very close to each other, very close to catching up, and they're going to be looking to fight for that position. One thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm really asking at the same time that I'm presenting the information. Bear Gods,
Sure.
have they finished outside of third place this game, this like whole qualifier?
You know what? I don't think so. And the
I
times that
don't
they should
think
have,
they have.
yeah, the time that they should have, Solar Bear has always been the last one alive, just sort of
Yeah.
putting up his flash freeze, blocking damage, and just, I don't think that they've, I mean, yeah, I think third place, that last game was their worst finish because I think Solar Bear is always finding himself in second and first. So yeah, this is a big shift, but at the same time, they're being very consistent. So we'll have
Like
to
I
see if
could
they can continue that.
I could give everybody else the benefit of the doubt and say they maybe have won fourth, but I know for
Yeah.
sure that he's inched out second place. I know for sure that he's gotten them 2 wins on the day, I believe. Have they won 2 games, or I know we have one team that's won 2 games. I think it's them.
Yeah, that's Bear Gods. It's Bear Gods.
Okay, so
Solar
Bear
pulled it out in
Gods,
game 5.
Bear God's the only team that has been able to get that. And look at that, Plato in
Man.
the kill feed getting a disruption onto Radish. So unfortunately, this qualifier just not really going the way that Radiscution really wants it to go. So we're going to be on board with Bear Gods and that knowledge potion in the hands of Wonderful already.
Yeah, Radis is really just not feeling it, and I mispronounced that on purpose, by the way. But anyway, it looks like Matches is going to go ahead and take some action as well. He's looking to burn some people up on that Pyromancer class, and has the dash rune as well, so no one is getting away from him in the early game. That's going to be Ancient Generic going down, and it looks like we have one more person to go as Shadow Scott is going down. Looks like that's actually to Diego is Sexy. So this is Manny So Fresh, Joe Bear, Ancient Generic. That's the New Age villains being brought to justice. They will go ahead and sit this one out early on, as looks like Team Silent Kill is picking up quite a few more points.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Looks like everybody around the map just like securing their own locations. They know where they want to drop. They know that they might have some other teams in the area while finding another re-knock onto Radish and Bastion as well. So again, Radiscution not really having the game that they're looking for, not really having the qualifier that they're looking for. Although Electric Biscuit does kind of clap back a little bit of a disruption onto Plato and Megaverse, finding another disruption somewhere out there in the world. Kathy gets noodled.
Man, get slapped, Kathy. You are out of this lobby. And unfortunately, in a similar way, it looks like Radis is also out of this lobby as well. So that's another poor game for their side. That most definitely will put them out of the running for the first place finish, which, while it doesn't guarantee you a spot in the finals, it does make a decent argument as far as your points are concerned. We do take the top 10 points out of all these qualifiers, and it looks like Radiscution's chances might have just gone down the drain. But we'll have to see how Diego is Sexy can kite out this team here. It's only Megaverse who is the one that's relatively healthy, but he is getting slapped down quite a bit. If he goes down right here, this opens up the can of worms that we were talking about, Crashy, and it looks like that might be the case, but that's a missed slap. Now it just needs to recover here. He literally has one more window of opportunity here. If he does not get all this damage off, he goes down. Prost is the only one left on this squad. I don't know where he is, but he better be far away from this action. He better play for placement, because that's 2 members of Diego is Sexy already down.
Yeah, Dirty Mike and the boys looking for the repeat. They get Diego is Sexy down yet again, back-to-back games. One in the end game, one in the early game. So unfortunately for Diego is Sexy, they're going to fall rather early, as we have 26 players left alive, and that is almost surely going to be one of their throwaway games. Unfortunately, that means that they're going to have to count one of their not-so-great games, but there's still one more game that they might be able to put themselves a little bit higher on the board, keep their kind of reign going. So it looks like Dirty Mike and the boys have a ridiculous amount of loot this early into the game. I mean, it's not super early, but they have some really, really good loot. This team might be looking to apply some pressure to him, but it looks like Mike Wazowski, B-Nag, and King Ryzen are actually in a pretty comfortable position in this one.
Yeah, it looks like they are pretty good. They're very, very healthy too. Epic Belt minus the minus King Ryzen on the rare there. They're doing pretty good in terms of loot. And we have legendary runes already from Mike Wazowski. So he's on the Toxicologist here, and that low cooldown is really going to do him some good, especially with Runic Fluency. That's less than 7 seconds on that Shadow Step. So we talk about Shadow Step Outbreak and how it's really, really strong and how we all know and love it. Man, you're about to see it in action here, I'm pretty sure. So we'll have to put a rain check on this engagement so far. It looks like that they will just kind of play it safe for right now. That's even more cooldown going the way of Mike Wazowski and a little bit more rotation going towards the western side. Now we're going to go ahead get over to King Kevin here as he is looking to seal out a little bit of damage here. Going to get stunned for his troubles though, and he will eat a little bit of damage. That's almost all of his shield going down, but he will kite away, waiting for his team to go ahead and rotate around. That's a low opponent. That's a clear opportunity for him to sort of dash in, get a little bit of boulder going, and a little bit of fireball to follow up. Let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, we haven't seen a ton from Kring as they've been getting kind of taken out, not having the games that they want, but it looks like they're on this full engagement here. That's going to be Mystics finding an exile onto 8 death 7. So, you know, 8.5, the name Death. I don't know where I'm going with this. But in any case, it looks like a third party might be coming out, as it does look like King Kevin has this enemy player just above him. The lightning strike is going to connect, but this player is so dangerously low. If he's able to get that in disruption, yes, he will. Mystic following it up again on XD Birkin. So they're just finding themselves some points, some exiles, some fights here in the middle of the map. And it does actually look like Mystics is still yet again in another fight, as Guile is going to get that full exile. Mystics finding a disruption onto Stockley as well as the exile. So some good damage, some good fights, some good kills, a little bit of extra points here from Kring. We'll see if they can carry some of this momentum into the later stages of the game.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if there's any sort of oh, his fireballs are actually being sucked by a tornado down below in the chasm. I don't know if he saw that, but it's definitely affecting his aim here. Now King Kevin looking to get a little bit more damage on here, and it looks like Guile will go ahead and take out Suck It 93. That's a little bit of damage score going over to that way, and as well as a little bit of exile score as well. Now we have, looks like Guile is going to go down to Solar Bear, and this is Bear Gods collapsing on the third-party situation here. Now we have King Kevin. He's going to be the lone hope here. He does have a lot of health, but it looks like he's trying to throw a little bit of boulder. There was an opponent behind his teammate there, so that kind of took me off guard there for a second. But anyway, King Kevin is going to go ahead and try to rotate out, try to find a little bit of action here, but he is getting focused down by 3 members of Bear Gods here, and this might spell the end for Team Kring here. I'm not sure if they can escape. It'll be very impressive if they do, but he misses the Firefly, and this team is not missing their shots. He will go down. Solar Bear is all over the kill feed here. That's 3 exiles going his way.
Yeah, look, I got to throw this out there because I think the more that I watch Bear Gods, the more that I'm actually able to deduct something about their team. I've been thinking about it game after game, and I'm really starting to put it together. Solar Bear, or no, excuse me, Wonderful is Baby Bear. Timmy is Mama Bear, and Solar Bear is Papa Bear. And they're just out here. They're just out here looking for their porridge. It's as simple as that. And they're doing it game after game. So we have the full Bear God squad, Mama, Papa, and Baby, and they're just out there. And I'm gonna say it, man. Solar Bear, he's the daddy. He's daddy of the team right now. He's been putting them on the back, getting every exile, finding his way to the end of the game every single time. That teleport, I love it, man. I love the strategy. You know, if I'm actually getting a little bit serious to talk about their team, I really do love the strategy. The ability to create something on a class that doesn't see a lot of play, on a rune that sees little to no play in the competitive scene outside of maybe like T-Foul throwing it on with like a spell slinger or something, but it's just really unique. It's really working out for them. You can see that very clearly, and I really do like appreciate that and really like to see that they can bring something unique to the competitive side of the game.
Yeah, and you know what? That's not something that you really hear a lot about from bears. You think of them as like really nasty creatures who are just trying to overwhelm you with their strength, but Solar Bear proving on the Frostborn class that there is a little bit of finesse towards the Bear God pantheon here, as he looks like he is the chief deity of this sort of mythology that's going on here. So it looks like he'll be looking to lead the way, looking to lead his team into victory, taking over this tower, saying, "I'm big, dominant bear. You know Steel Tower." So we'll have to see how these shots pan out. Looks like they're not really looking to push all too much. I say that, and Wonderful is like way separated from his team. He will have to kite back towards Solar Bear, give him a clear shot, but Solar Bear is not having a good time of it so far. He will have to kind of stay back and try to land these long shots. This is going to be indeed a long shot, trying to land all these Frost Snipes, and Timmy looks like will have to kite around, try to get a little bit closer for his Pyromancer class to really do any good. But that lightning offhand, looking for the stun, I would imagine. The stun into 3 fireballs is devastating. Let's see if this will pay off for him, as he has a prime opportunity to open up the game. And here we go. The flight rune coming out. Let's see the stun. Let's see the fireballs.
Yeah, Timmy is in full pursuit. Player thinks that he can hide in the bush, but no, Timmy's got the eyesight of a hawk. He's not going to let it happen. He's got that lightning offhand. I'm actually surprised he didn't like throw down that lightning sorcery, but hey, look, he's going to go ahead and get a small disengage. And with the runic fluency, I'm not sure that it's intentional to have the flight rune, but he has so much potential. But look at this, SK is entering the fold. Bear Gods versus SK, two of the top contending teams in this qualifier, and that's a big ice lance coming over toward the way of Timmy. He's going to have to try to create some space. Uses that flight rune, uses that firefly, but the boulder falls are landing. Timmy is in full disengage now. Matches is on the chase potentially. So it does look like Wonderful's still going to be disrupted, and Timmy's hanging out on the edge of the zone here. He does have some health potions in the pocket. Mike Wazowski getting a disruption onto Guhard. We're going to be jumping over to Dirty Mike and the boys, and still holding on to the potential exile here. Is he going to go ahead and get it? Yes, he will. I was going to say he has some of those extra charges, holding on to some of those extra charges from that knowledge potion that he got at some point throughout the game. And we'll see how he decides to use those. But they're just cleaning up a fight here. 15 players left alive in total. And this might be the tail end, the little edge of a third-party potential. They're looking to finish the fight that they were in. We'll see if he's able to do so. Yes, he will. Player kind of stuck in the little house, the little leftover windmill tower. That's going to be Dio getting disrupted. So one player left from this enemy team. I believe that is going to be Hashira, the last little member of Hashira. King Ryzen is going to go ahead and find that. Primo-tastic takes down Death Envoy. We'll see if they end up disengaging or if they take this fight that's across from them, because it looked like a kind of a split third party, like one team kind of stuck in between two other teams. So we'll see if they decide to take this engagement. But for now, Mike Wazowski just kind of guarding it out. Surprised to see him not just popping out those shields, but we're on SK now. As SK is going to be fighting over here, you know, just south of Gritfeld. They're looking to take control of this tower, potentially just using that firewall, keep himself safe from any potential ice lances. Samajin just taking it nice and slow, you know, just gonna shoot up some damage up there. Just wants to throw it out. He's gonna throw out that meteor, the fire boulder fall combo. But now just taking it simple. They don't have to full engage here. This is the part of the game where you just want to take it slow. You want to play smart, play with your team, and not overextend too much.
Yeah, I would say this is the poking phase in the late game here. No one's really close enough to really make use of those close range, big damage classes. So what you want to do is you want to position yourself on a high place, of course. You want to get in the best possible place you can for the next zone coming in. They do spot someone out here on this tower. There's the ping coming in. And really what you want to do is you want to have SK Zebra try to poke down as many players as possible before Majin and before matches have a chance to really dive on the enemy team. If you can get them low enough, then it's an easy job for those two members of the team. And of course, I'm sure that Zebra also has a close range option as well. So it's all about Zebra right now. If he can land some decent poke, then that's going to be good. But we can see a little bit of toxic coming out from the enemy team, and that signals to Majin that this team is pretty close, and he's ready to dive in here pretty quick.
Yeah, and even something as simple as just like using those boulder like charges, you know, using them off cooldown just to make sure that he can get a little bit of pressure and damage, you know, towards the way of high ground. I mean, they're going to be coming back in a pretty short amount of time, and it's all about SK like playing their position, like hanging out at the edge of the zone, but also not wanting to take very much damage because they want to keep that health total, that shield total as high as possible. But hey, look, we are back on now with Bear Gods. They're all still alive. They're going to be in the zone. They have this furthest edge. And it looks like SK might be looking to push their direction. Timmy is going to be playing that zone position with Wonderful. And I don't know if Wonderful has any potential shield shards in his inventory. I don't believe he does. But it does look like he might have a little bit left. He has that stone skin to be able to get himself up a little bit. But Dirty Mike and the boys, they're going to be pushing in, finding a disruption onto Plano. And Solar Bear is just playing positioning. He has his team out there scrapping.
Nice.
And Solar Bear finds the elimination onto Zebra. So I believe that might be SK fully eliminated. I'm not sure. There might be one player left alive as Primo-tastic. Oh, look at that. Matches does go down. So Timmy and Solar Bear are going to be fully cleaning up that team. And this is Bear God's game to win, their game to lose potentially. We do have Solar Bear full health. Basically the last member standing. He's going to have full control of this tower, but he's going to have to move over. Yes, he teleports into the face of the enemy player. He's going to get some toxic slaps, but this is the situation that Bear God, or Solar Bear rather, finds himself in so very often. No, he's not going to be in a situation where he can kite around like he usually does. He is going to have that teleport. He's going to be looking to potentially use it in just a second. He's going to teleport
wow.
up. Look at that teleport skill coming out, and that might be BNAG, Dirty Mike and the boys. I believe they're going to be the last member standing. Is he going to be able to stay alive? He might not be able to do so, but nonetheless, Solar Bear has consistently consistently been able to keep himself in every single end game. You got Mike Wazowski, King Ryzen, and BNAG. They're going to be looking to dominate this lobby. 3 down, the last player standing. I believe it might be Solar Bear. No, it's not. He actually gets taken down by BNAG, so he's going to find himself 3rd place finish, and this is going to be the last one of Proster. So Proster gets himself that 2nd place finish. Going to put some points on the board for his team, but Dirty Mike and the boys, that's 2 in a row, I believe.
Whoa, so you're telling me that Diego is sexy. Team Diego is sexy, gets collapsed on in the early game, and Proster hides the entire time to take 2nd? Like that, yeah. That's what we're doing? Wow. Wow, that's actually really impressive that he's able to stay hidden that entire time. I honestly did not expect that at all. I thought they would go out maybe in the mid game, maybe like in a 4th or 3rd place finish, but no. Proster is actually Solar Bear's brother apparently, and he's playing out to seal his team some placement here. So
that's so
really, really nice.
I thought you were being serious. And I was like, wait, they're brothers? They should team together.
No. Yeah, there's actually a sibling rivalry. They hate each other.
You know what's funny though is that like even so, like that teleport getting Solar Bear up to the top of that tower, like he gets himself a 3rd place finish, so not bad. But BNAG, Dirty Mike, and the boys, they find themselves back-to-back wins. The only team that's been able to do that. I don't really know what their points are sitting like. I think that they're closing the gap pretty quickly, so we'll see where they finish, because that's something that can't be ignored. I mean, there's only 2 teams in this entire qualifier that have won 2 games, and they're the only team that's won it back-to-back. We have 1 game left, and we know that Diego's sexy. They're kind of taking some hits. They're falling down. The question, though, OSK, is like, is that game, even though Proster stays alive to 2nd place, is that even a game that gets scored? I'm not really sure. It might be better than one of their other games. It's really hard to say.
Judging on the amount of exiles that Proster had, maybe he has a little bit of damage score, but I don't think that Proster got very many exiles in there, if any at all. So it could just be like saving grace for placement as opposed to actual like tangible, tourney points that they can take in for their best 6 games. So that actually might get dropped off as well. So even so, that still leaves on the board a less than satisfactory game that Diego is sexy do have to take with them. And coming up in our standings here is Dirty Mike and the boys. They are really proving that they do have the chops to work with the higher ping here on the EU side of things. So they are doing pretty well into this off-region server, as well as Bear Gods. Now, he did go out in 3rd place, but you also have to keep in mind he took with him 5 exiles. So that's going to really, really add up. And I would even argue that fact that he has so many exiles and damage is even more important than the placement that he finished in. So you really have to pay attention to this game number 8. We're going to have to really see how it really unfolds, because this could really be anyone's game at this point.
Yeah, and one thing to say about Proster's his whole plan of staying alive to the end, it may not be a scored game. It might be, most likely not, because I wouldn't expect that they got any exiles, so it's just like a full placement game. But you know what that does? It pushes every other team's placement points down 1 peg. You know what I mean? Like it's an entire step down for every single team. So
Proster's just griefing, basically.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like that's still super valuable potentially. I mean, look, us casters, like we're basically just gigantic man children. You know what I mean? We sit here, we don't run the production.
Hey, speak for yourself, my
No. We don't run the production. We don't run the scores. We just get spoon fed all this information, and it's kind of cool because I don't really see where all the shifting is happening, right? Like Thunderson and I don't even know what is it Thunderson and Juklo that do the stats. I really don't even know. I feel bad. I don't even know who our team is, but they're doing all this work on the back end, and we're just like sitting here just watching it rise and fall. But speaking of rising and falling, we have 1 game left, and we will see if any team can rise to the occasion, if they can push themselves to that number 1 spot, because this is the last game, and this is Guhard finding an elimination, and he's going to be saving his team. No, they went down. Unfortunately, Hashira is going to be down and out, so that's the end of their qualifier. The Hashira not going to be able to stick this one out for the long haul. We're going to be moving over, and this is full controller team.
No, this is a spectator bug. I promise.
I was like, How did they do this?
This is more of an indicator of what platform you're playing on, as opposed to what your input is. So this is a spectator bug, everybody. This isn't a full console player team. If it was, they wouldn't be able to make it into the lobby anyway because of the way.
Yeah, I was going to say they have to teach us the secret. If so, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. That said,
the secret is hacks.
You know, I'm just going to say I'm going to call it for Manny. Manny's so fresh. Unfortunately, fighting off Spawn with that Frost offhand. That's a tough one, man. It's not an easy thing to do.
No, definitely not. But we're going to find out here just what kind of damage these teams can do. I do believe that, this is just a duo, a lost duo in our tournament here. So we'll have to see what kind of damage that they do to the rest of our teams here. Ancient Generic is going to go ahead and be thirsted from the New Age villains. More justice being dealt to them here, as now we see Mofongo Bros rotating towards the Halcyon side of things. This is where Diego is sexy. Team Diego is sexy really likes to roam around and try to get these early exiles. Let's see if they actually encounter each other, or if there's a different drop that they ended up going with here. So it looks like they'll be taking this tower right here. They do have a nice location here on the northern side of Halcyon, and it looks like they might find just a little bit of action if they can make it all the way to Whitgrave.
Yeah, and they're just kind of holding their position now. 31 players alive. This one, I wonder, you know, whenever you get to like the second half of the event, players kind of get a little bit loose. It seems like they're trying to compensate for some of the points that they might not have. But when you get to the final game, it seems like it almost slows down a little bit again, because they're just trying to guarantee that they have a solid performance. Now, we're going to be watching Wawa Weewa rocking the Dragonfire, and he's got a pretty aggressive team composition with that backline conduit player. We'll see if they can get themselves some more points on the board. You know, the Mofongo Bros kind of sitting in, if it's updated, sitting in like a 5th place position, so they might be able to push themselves a little bit higher. We'll see. But look at that. I was going to pull his name out of the hat. It's Solar Bear finding a disruption in the kill feed, and they're the team that is the team to beat right now. And they're finding himself a couple kills. It's Solar Bear. Like I said, I'm gonna call it again. I don't care how cringe it is. Papa Bear is going to be the one that's leading the charge this whole event. We're going to be jumping over to Bear Gods now down here in the Bogmore region. They've been landing here every single game, dominating it every single game, and getting so much loot for themselves every single game. And Timmy, again, we called it out. He moved over to the Pyro. It's been working out a little bit better for him, and I think he's going to be pretty comfortable doing so.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that he chooses to run Dexterity, of all things, on his filler talent. So it's been working out a little bit better for him than the Conduit side of things. Maybe I'll ask him about it after the game. But anyway, we're going to jump on over to Fort Halcyon here, as we have Mofongo Bros taking on a little bit of an engagement here. Wouldn't this be interesting if it was Team Diego is sexy? We do have a little bit of boulders coming out here, but it will not do any damage. Now we have Primotastic being approached on. He will go ahead to the flat ground, but immediately recovers back up to the house here. Now this opponent is getting dragon fired, and he is getting focused down by a little bit of lightning, but he will escape with his life as of right now. So we'll have to see how these teams rotate around. Looks like there is a little bit of a flank coming in, and let's see what names pop up here. This might be a bloodbath.
Yeah, it could be a bloodbath. The zone is kind of waving over them now as they're tasked with the ability to fight and get out of the zone at the same time. You're going to see Primotastic just looking to follow up some damage here on this enemy player. His teammate is going to be in close proximity. That's the teleport going out, but this guy has nowhere left to run. I think this is going to be all said and done for this enemy player. So he's just trying to space out a little bit. Primotastic is going to find the knock. Actually, Plato is going to get that disruption himself. And now this enemy team is kind of in shambles. Style Rex and 4M not going to be able to stay alive, unfortunately. But hey, listen, you know, hey, it is what it is. Oh, look at this. Primotastic gets a nice little scare on the backside. That's going to be Sun Sadner. Not going to stay alive, though. So Mofongo Bros get themselves some extra points on the board. So they're going to be hanging out in the storm a little bit. But hey, listen, they have plenty of health, plenty of potions. They can get themselves out of here. Lots of loot for them to potentially grab. We'll see if they can carry some of this momentum into the later section of the game, put themselves a little bit higher up on the leaderboard. We'll see if some of these other players can do so as well. So we're going to be looking to shift around the map. We got the ratification team here.
The ratification of the Ratikitchen. We got it. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they end up being. I know that they've been kind of cheesed in the early game as of late here, but I'm glad to see that they've made it into the sub 30 category. Now we have Mofongo Bros taking another engagement. It looks like we'll have to see how that plays out for them. Plato's already got his shields all melted off, but looking to restore it is he right now. Keeping an eye on this enemy here. He knows that no one sees him quite yet. Going to go ahead and weave through here. Accidentally bonks his head with that spring step on the rock overhang. And now just looking to shield up just a little bit more. They're not really looking to be a fan of this little engagement. They want to go ahead and get their next little level up. They want to get their level 2 skills, Overload, Firefly, Vanishing Mist. That's all they want right now. And now we have Radish Kitchen. Actually, it looks like we're zapping some people. Alba BCB is going to go ahead and go down to Electric Biscuits Lightning. And also in the kill feed, we have Megaverse taking out an opponent as well. So keep an eye on that as this unfolds. Electric Biscuit already going to go ahead and get that thirsted off. And Radish looking to deal a little bit more damage with that Frost. He is fed on the Flash Freeze, as you can see.
Yeah, for sure. And it does look like Radish is keeping his health pretty high. He's going to be flying high up in the sky himself, but now just taking a bit of damage, needs to get off the ground, doesn't want to get hit by any of those shockwaves. And this might be, I think we've seen this engagement in this area before. We'll have to see what team this ends up being. It might be Diego Sexy. We'll see if they, I don't know. Mike Wazowski and the boys. I mean, we've seen a few teams fighting up here, but for now they're taking a little bit slow. Radish doesn't want to get eliminated. He's going to go ahead and pop one of these shields, and again, the shockwave just coming down that hill. He's got to play a little bit safe, maybe even just change his position and get a little bit more aggressive if it looks like they're going to take this fight. And yes, it is going to be Diego Contra getting the disruption onto Bastion. So Megaverse going to be the one that is throwing out all those shockwaves, and Radish again taking so much damage, forced to leave his teammates behind a little bit. So it does look like Electric Biscuit is going to be finding his way down to him. That actually might be one of those situations where they actually chase up on Electric Biscuit. Maybe not. They're able to kind of squeal themselves away, but the zone is going to be pushing in a little over a minute, and just for now, it's all about just being full engaged onto this enemy team, and I don't know if they're going to be able to walk away from this. But in the kill feed right now, King Ryzen is going to be falling at the hands of Primo-Tastic, so that's Dirty Mike and the boys potentially getting into a very important and big fight, because, you know, Dirty Mike and the boys have actually been putting themselves higher up in the placements each game. The last 2 games, big pop-off performances from them, getting back-to-back wins. But we're still going to be on board with Bastion and his team. Diego Contra is going to go on ahead and confirm that exile. So unfortunately, they're not going to be able to stay in this one for too long. We're going to be jumping over to Diego Contra, but as I say that, Zarly is going to get a disruption onto Proster. So Proster needing a little bit of help, and again, this is a team that needs to have a solid performance. Diego Contra going to land a nice Ice Lance shot onto Zarly, and it's going to be all about trying to confirm this fight. They need to clean this one up. They need to be able to carry some of this momentum, some of this potential to win a game into the later sections. Diego Contra finds one, finds 2. Ret's Red Wiz are going to be falling down. Now he's going to be looking to potentially peel back, helping Megaverse. Might go for the exile, might look to save his teammate, but this last player going to be the last one standing. Whoa. Diego Contra finding the third.
You can just see the confidence coming out from Diego Contra. Didn't even charge that ice up. He just like, you know what? Let's let it fly. He's 20 HP. This is going to do at least 26. Let's go ahead and go for it. And he ends up getting the exile off of it. That's what you love to see. You love to see the confidence. You love to see the skill coming out, and Diego saying, I'm a master Frostborn. I'm wearing my wolf skin, and I'm out here to hunt down some teams. And now they just have a little bit of a rotation to go ahead and get. Team Diego as Sexy is feeling pretty good with all these exiles right now. Diego 4 by himself, but Radish is going to go ahead and get Proster out of this engagement. So Megaverse will have to stay behind, try to find a way to res his teammate. Diego Contra going to go ahead and pave the way, try to find a little bit of a flank and scout out for his team, but nothing doing so far. We still don't know where that shot came from. There it is. It's coming from Verdun Estate. He's putting down all the attention right here. He needs to be very careful, though. If he draws too much attention, then that's just 2 people exiled. Now we have Proster being picked up by Megaverse here. The plan is working out well so far. And now Diego looking to rotate back, trying to find a nice little slap and a nice little snipe as well. He will rotate back with the rest of his team. Proster is not looking too good. You need to get those shields up, you need to get your health up, and you need to get back into this fight, but that will not be the case. Electric Biscuit will put him down.
Yeah, Electric Biscuit, they're still alive, they're still kicking. That fight did not get fully finished, and Proster going to be, you know, kind of in a dangerous position now as Diego Contra and Megaverse are not going to be able to save him, and that's such a loss, especially when you have teams like Dirty Mike and the boys and SK out there that are potentially still full teams. You see Diego Contra trying to create a little bit of space for his team. He's just taking back-to-back hits. It's not going to be the position that he wants to be in, and Radish looks to finish that one. Radish going to be finding the disruption, and now Megaverse, the last last member standing. A team that started off so very hot is getting so cold here. The Frostborn is not going to be able to contribute too much, but Megaverse finding the disruption onto Radish. Now Megaverse going to be the last member standing, tasked with the ability to clutch this. They have to make it happen. If they want to get themselves some more points on the board, Diego Contra hopefully going to be able to relay a little bit of information if he can, but Megaverse is fighting an uphill battle, as it looks like this might be even a third party coming out. I'm not sure. Just so many players in this area. Megaverse has fully disengaged into the storm, and yes, we do see Mofongo Bros entering the fight. We're going to be on board with Wawa Weewa as he is looking to push in. Now has the Dragon Fire combination in the pocket. He's going to be able to pop something big here. The cooldowns, the sorceries are going to be coming off cooldown. They're just looking to create a little bit of space for themselves. They don't want to get too overcommittal, and I don't know if Megaverse was able to get out of that situation. I do think he actually found a disruption onto Radish, so Megaverse alive and well, kicking out there somewhere, and Wawa Weewa doesn't have any shields on, but they're going to be finding themselves into the zone. Looks like he's going to stop and try to get a bit of a reset.
Oh, it looks like Matches actually either fell in the fracture or his team is fully exiled and now out of the count. I think that's a fracture death, though. That's unfortunate for him, as Team Silent Kill will be down with one of their best players. And now it looks like Radish is going to go ahead and seal out the exile on Diego Contra, while Timmy is going to clean up Megaverse. So Team Diego is Sexy is down a little bit earlier than expected. So this might be the can of worms we were talking about. Now all these placements are going to be shifted up. We're going to have to see how Team Bear Gods plays out. Looks like all three of their members are up as of right now. Solar Bear leading the charge. Wonderful getting the exile onto SK Zebra, and Silent Kill is currently out of the lobby. So we'll have to see how this ends up playing out. Now we have Timmy coming right in, but getting slapped up by Primo-tastic. Now it is Team Bear Gods versus this other team here, Mofongo Bros, as we are looking at a little bit of a sticky situation here. The terrain is varied, the angles are aplenty, and the shots are coming. Solar Bear looking to finish this one out, looking for the full commit on the teleport. The slap, it's not enough. He gets stunned up, and let's see if this is enough. He misses another one, not connecting on the second. The lightning damage is coming out. The flash freeze will give the immunity. The freeze will go ahead and seal out that disruption, but Primo-tastic is going to clean up all of Bear Gods, and that is the end of game number 8.
Yeah, the end of game number 8, the end of the qualifier. Number 6, Primo-tastic Mofongo Bros. They're going to be finding themselves a win. But I have to say, listen, I think minus maybe one game, and I'm not even sure, but minus maybe one game, Bear Gods finishing in top 3 every single game. They won 2 games. I think at this point we have to know that they're most likely going to be our first place team. And with the rest of the points, the rest of the team shifting around, it's really hard to call. I mean, Mike Wazowski and the boys, you know, they were able to they were able to get themselves a lot of points, back-to-back finishes, back-to-back games, taking out some of the big contenders, the heavy hitters in this qualifier. And overall, just a lot of variance in terms of what teams were performing at what points in this qualifier. Some teams started off really hot. Some teams came in a little bit hot later on in the qualifier, and ultimately a pretty close one, I want to say. I think a lot of these teams really showed up, were kind of finding their style, making really small adjustments, at least in the way that they were fighting, not necessarily with their builds or their overall compositions. But yeah, Solar Bear, really kind of the MVP of this qualifier, I got to say.
Yeah, definitely carrying his team to victory, at least in the placement department. He's always the last one alive when it comes to these last little bit of engagements. And he does a really good job of escaping a sticky situation compared to the rest of his team. And for that matter, the rest of his lobby. He's always the, I like to call him the Revenant. He's always around. He never goes away, and he always comes back for more. So he's just a constant presence in all these lobbies. And whether or not you get the rest of Bear Gods out of the tournament, you're going to find him in the late game at some point, and there's no way around that. So that's just a testament to how good mechanically he is on his own class, on Frostborn, on teleport, and also just his awareness. He knows exactly where to go as well. He knows where these squads are engaging. He knows just about how many people he has to keep track of, and he can find that one little people, that one little cave opening, that one little tower that no one is occupying, and he can escape there and get a little bit of healing doing, and also just collapse on the last few squads.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, for sure, the fact that Solar Bear is able to stay alive and then like snipe a win away from SK. I think it was
Yeah.
SK. I'm not sure what other team it was.
No,
That
you're
was
correct.
alive in the house. And yeah, I mean, just the fact that he's able to snipe away a win, even if it doesn't even equate to that much many more points, it's just like every little bit counts, you know? I mean, even as much as to say like Proster staying alive and getting that second place, the same thing. Every little bit counts. Every bit of influence that you can have, even if it's your own throwaway game, is still a really big change. And so as we're compiling this information, we're getting the scores, we're all waiting and wanting to see where the final scores land, because hey man, this is the end of a qualifier, and you know, we're kind of on the back end of it. You know, we've already got 6 qualifiers down. How many more do we have to go? I can't even remember. My brain is
We have two more complete qualifiers to go, and then we're gonna have the Element Fusion finals sent your way here in December. So it's gonna be, man, these placements, we're only taking 10 teams, and it's gonna be a close one, and we're basing this off of points as well until further notice. So man, if these scores are close enough, I honestly don't know if how the qualifications for finals are going to go. We'll have to stay tuned for that one, but we are getting the final scores already. They have been certified by our scorekeepers, so we will have those top 5 finishes coming out for you here in just a second. Now, Crashy, we have to talk about some of the things we saw today as far as like new innovations. I'm seeing a lot of on Frostborn in particular, we're running a lot of Harmony. We're running a lot of Finders Keepers. We're running a lot of Recovery, or Thirsty for that matter. Talk to me about that, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I think Frostborn, they're no strangers to running Harmony. It's you know, one of the inadequacies about the class to feel kind of forced to run Harmony. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you know, I think Solar Bear could dispute that, because he doesn't do that. So that's kind of like an evolution of the Frostborn playstyle, especially, I mean, hear me out. I'm not going to get too presumptuous, but we do know that there are some Frostborn changes coming in the future. You never know. That could be the future meta, running, you know, focus mana on Frostborn. It's really hard to say. We'll see what that ends up happening. I have no idea what they're going to do with Frostborn. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up changing with Frostborn. But yeah, I mean, Recovery or Thirsty, always a great option, and has that healing for the team. And just the fact that we see, you know, a little bit more Frostborn play coming out from like Frostborn, you know, prominent players is exciting. I think that if there ever is a position to, you know, see a Frostborn, it's going to be in squads. It's one of those roles that gets a lot of value with the team. It has the frozen alacrity. But I think OSK, if I heard that correctly, I believe we have our final scores.
Yes, you are correct. And without further ado, let's go ahead and put them on this screen right here, as you are going to be quite surprised. We do have Bear Gods finishing in first, despite the early advantage from Diego is Sexy. Of course, they are finishing up in the second place with a difference of 59 points, along with Dirty Mike and the Boys, Silent Kill, and Monfongo Bros finishing in third, fourth, and fifth, respectively. And look at that point score. Look at that spread, rather.
Yeah, the spread. I mean, Bear Gods really, you know, just I don't want to say that they swept over, because they didn't. They just kind of barely taken over Diego is Sexy, and it's kind of like, not to pour salt in the wounds, but had they had like one more good game, they might have been able to hold their position in that first place spot. That said, Dirty Mike and the Boys really, I mean, I can't even imagine, because again, I'm really just watching the jumps of the points. I can't imagine how quickly they flew up to find themselves in third place. And SK, they kept it pretty consistent across the entire board, but really just not getting the dominance that they need to put themselves higher up. And then Mofongo Bros, you know, edging themselves out in the 5th place position. You know, they kind of picked it up towards the end of the qualifier, and they're going to go ahead and finish in that 5th place spot. But congratulations, first place finish is going to go over to Bear Gods, and we're going to be continuing the qualifiers. You know, like you said, we have 2 more, and the top 10 teams are going to be the teams that find themselves in that ultimate finish. So if you want to go ahead, OSK, what are you seeing on this stat sheet here, if you want to break it down for us?
Man, the biggest thing that I'm seeing here is a single game highest damage and single game highest exiles actually going to Mofongo Bros. Wasn't actually expecting that. Now, keep in mind that the dark highlighted stats are the ones that are claimed by the team, the actual squad, and the light colored ones are the best stat of that category for individual players. So as we're breaking this down, the dark up top, that's Mofongo Bros getting the single game highest damage. But in terms of individual players, Diego Contra is going to take that title with 1428 damage, and Solar Bear is taking the single game highest exiles with 7, as well as carrying the rest of those stats with average exiles, and total damage. Of course, Bear Gods across the board doing pretty well in terms of damage, exiles, and average placements. And here's another breakdown for you guys. We got a nice little pie chart with a little donut. We'll call that a donut chart. How about that? We're cooking up in the Radis kitchen today. And this is all the breakdown for you. But it just goes to show, man.
I hate you.
It just goes to show. I mean, it doesn't take much to claim these titles here, and it just proves how close of a qualifier that we had.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, a lot of these teams, like I said, it was no clear dominant like performance. It was everybody just having their games, having their good positions. I mean, again, Dirty Mike and the boys, they were not really doing that well. They were kind of off of our radar entirely. And then the fact that they take out Diego Sexy back-to-back games on top of winning back-to-back games, I mean, that had to have just thrown them up to the top. And look at that, the total number of exiles, that's 39 for Dirty Mike and the boys, and then tied at 46 for Diego is Sexy and Bear Gods. Again, I mean, I think this chart right here shows just how close a lot of these teams were performing, pretty much right next to each other game after game. And yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Just goes to show how much of a factor that extra damage and how much of a factor those placements really factor into all of our score sheets. But anyway, there's all the breakdowns for you. Of course, if you have any more questions about these scores, you can always hit the exclamation scores with the full breakdown, going down all of our stats here. Of course, we are going to go ahead and send the raid off here at the end of this stream. There's some more stats for you to keep a lookout.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Crashy.
No surprise there that Solar had, like the most exiles, the most player damage. I mean, he's just out there just doing his thing, staying alive, sniping games away from players, and ultimately Bear Gods take home that first place finish.
Definitely. And that's $30 going to them for getting first in that qualifier. Of course, stay tuned. We do have 2 more qualifiers coming up, as well as some stream scrims coming out for you here tomorrow. That'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be Play Safe and Mana Class on the casting desk. So without further ado, of course, if you would like to contribute to all these prize pools that are coming out, a big thank you to Proletariat, by the way, for providing this one. You can always donate there. Get your name up in lights. 70% of it will go towards the prize pools, as well as 30% going to the production staff and any production upgrades that we have coming for you here in the future. But anyway, guys, you've been great. I've been OSK. Crashy, you have been great as well. Any departing words for our fine people here?
Hey, man, another day of Spellbreak, another day of Spellbreak competitive. It's always fun. We look to the future for the future of Spellbreak, future changes, more communication, just all the fun stuff that we all enjoy. And yeah, the finals are going to be for sure something to look forward to. After we wrap up all 8 qualifiers, it's going to be interesting to see what 10 teams have risen to the top and are going to be finding themselves in that finals position. And then ultimately, we're going to have a great day on our hands. So we'll see you guys next time. We'll see you around the community. We'll see you tomorrow for the casted scrims. And yeah.
Y'all have a good one.